Then it goes a little something like.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 15 of Ballrooms and Bachelors Podcast, where we talk about our experience as ballroom dancing students, Dancing with the Stars, and all things Bachelor. I'm Camille.
I'm Matthew.
Okay, so let's get started. On today's episode, we're going to talk about just some things going on at the dance studio this week. We had the marketing team for Dance With Me stop by. We are still preparing for our November competition, and Matthew wanted to give us an update on his dance performance for his midterm for his class for school. Dancing with the Stars, as usual, the recap on the Disney Plus night. And then, of course, the first week with 2 episodes of Bachelor in Paradise, we have that recap. So I think just before we get started more in depth, I just wanted to point out that if you're, welcome if you're new. I know we have some new subscribers on the YouTube this week, so thank you for joining. And welcome. And also, just in case you haven't noticed, we started putting timestamps on the episode a few episodes ago. So if, we'd love for you to listen to the whole episode, but if you want to just listen to our details and or anything just about like just Dancing with the Stars or just Bachelor in Paradise, I understand that not everybody's into all of the stuff. The timestamps are down below in the description, so you can click to fast forward to that point. So Matthew, how about you get us started with talking about the dance studio this week, and you can talk a little bit about the marketing team stopping by.
Awesome. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah. So again, pretty much the studio this week has been pretty much the typical stuff that's been happening the last few months. Like we've been talking about with the group classes, we had our contemporary class on Monday, like we had talked about before, and that was really fun. It's really cool because we've been kind of like switching it up every week. Like in September, like we had been talking about, we had kind of been like keeping the same routine for like a few weeks and like building on it. But this week or this month, we've been Elena's been like choosing a new song and new choreography every week. So it's been kind of cool to kind of like get into a new rhythm and get into new routines. I thought that was pretty cool. And again, it's just a class I really like. I know that we kind of share that love for the class. So it seems like everybody else in the class really likes it too, especially because that's why I requested it. Why I requested it to Elena, like I think back in July, just because I knew it was a different class that probably hadn't been taught there for a long time. I knew since I had been there, it hadn't been. I know you said when you were there was a long time ago. And so and so I knew that it probably would be really cool for it to come back. And I knew a lot of people would probably be interested in it. And I have just really loved that class. And I hope it at least sticks around another month. I don't know if it will, but I hope at least, I'm not really sure. We'll see. Fingers crossed. And I did say to Elena, I was like, hopefully after we do a few months of contemporary, maybe we can go back to having a hip hop class, because she had a hip hop class, I think in the spring this year. And those were really fun. So I feel like kind of switching it up and doing another non-ballroom style as a group class and getting back to that would also be really fun. So yeah, that class has been fun. Obviously, we've been doing a lot of stuff for our formation dance, and because we've been having actually our required rehearsal times now. Because it's interesting because kind of a little side note, we have been doing this routine or this like formation dance, and it wasn't even really supposed to be a formation dance in the first place. It was like just like a Latin. It was really funny. It was just the international Latin group class that started, I think, in July, and we've been working on it since July. And I think Yuri and Elena like came up to us in August and were like, we could do this for a team match in November. And we're like, okay, we're down. But we've been doing this routine for like almost 4 months at this point. And so
part of it,
right?
Part of it,
Right. Exactly. We've been doing the first half of it for almost 4 months. We've added the new part like just about under a month ago or so. And so I just thought that was kind of funny that, again, it kind of started out as just being, it's like this regular group class. Then it ended up turning into like this big thing that we're going to do like in front of people against other studios in November. So that's going to be fun. But yeah, going back to it, we've had like these mandatory rehearsals, and we're going to have them all the way up through the competition or up until the competition. So it's a lot of rehearsing, but it definitely is needed just because of how complex the routine is, especially since there's multiple parts. Again, we're not going to give too much away just because it's like we want to keep it a secret, but since it's very detailed, it definitely requires a lot of rehearsal and a lot of practice. I know I've even practiced it like kind of like when I haven't been at the studio, or if I've been at the studio but there's not any class going on, if I'm just there practicing, I'll practice my stuff. for the routines, the routine, like all the routines in that routine as well, or all the parts of the routine. So I really, again, I assume that probably same thing with you. I'm sure you're enjoying it and excited for November for it too.
Yeah, it was very fortuitous that the song that they picked for that routine was very easily able to morph into the theme we want for this
Yes,
formation dance.
exactly right. Yeah,
So yeah, and it was cool because we had the marketing team. I know like you had the lesson earlier in the day and
yeah,
they didn't film your lesson, and then they left before I had my private lesson, but they were filming the contemporary class
yeah,
um and the formation dance class, and it was cool because they made a comment specifically about the formation dance. They were like, oh, it's so cool, they really liked it. And obviously
yeah,
they don't want to post it on any of the pages
yeah.
before
I
the
know.
actual event, but we're like, okay, they got to make like a documentary of like the making of after the fact.
Exactly.
um
They definitely need to.
yeah, yeah, no, the
um,
it was cool though. I mean, they were filming like a lot of the, like everybody in their lessons or in the classes, and then all like the background stuff.
yeah,
So it was cool. I think they liked watching the contemporary class too. So that was
exactly.
it was cool. You
No,
feel like you're
exactly.
like on
No,
camera.
no, exactly. I know. It was so funny because like we were like doing these, especially in the contemporary class, and
Hmm.
obviously also in the formation class, the
Yeah.
rehearsal. But like, there's a lot of things where there's a lot of moves in both those routines that we were doing
Yeah.
in classes where our instructors would be like, go full out and go crazy and
Yeah.
be like, and, like go for the camera and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So that was really funny. And of course, they were standing there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And so that was fun. And our marketing people are like really, really great. They're
Hmm.
always filming. They've filmed a lot of my stuff, like when I've competed, and it's been
Yeah.
like so awesome to see. And I'm sure it's been the same for you. They're
Yeah.
always doing all the competitions and stuff, and it's just the work they do is so great. So if you guys are watching, you guys are doing
Yeah.
awesome. It was so awesome to have you in the studio
Yes.
because I think it's been a while.
Yeah, and it's honestly like you never know when you are going to pop up on the Dance with Me Instagram or TikTok or Facebook
Exactly.
post,
That's
or
what
or
happened.
like an ad. So it's cool. It's just like all of a sudden I'm like, there I am.
Exactly. That's what happened during
Yeah.
my first competition during mini
Hmm.
match. I did this TikTok with Elena. They posted it the same day, and then they also filmed, like professionally filmed me doing one of my cha-chas during mini
Hmm.
match, and they posted that the next day. And I was like, the fact there's like professional video of me
Yeah.
doing my first competition is like so crazy to me. But I'm like, so yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely cool because they don't tell you. They film everything,
Hmm.
and they just like, and then you, like you said, it just pops up, and it's like, oh, this is
Yeah.
awesome. So yeah, yeah, I agree. So that was fun that they came in and like filmed and took pictures of
Hmm.
us and stuff like that. Especially because they said like the reason they wanted to do it, or at least the reason Elena said they wanted to do it, is because they hadn't been in the studio, I think, for 5+ years, or not 5+ years, but like, or four or something like that. And they were saying that like all the stuff on the website for the pictures and the
Hmm.
bios and everything are like really old at this point. Like we've had new
Yeah.
instructors join and people's titles change,
Yeah.
and like obviously new students and stuff like that coming
Yeah.
in. All the website's pretty dated, so they wanted
Yeah.
to have like new content for the website. So I think that was pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. I figured it might be more like website stuff, so it's gonna be cool.
Yeah, it'll be cool to see that
I
because
mean, they've been like, well, different folks have come in, not the people that were there on
yeah,
Monday, not the girls over there on Monday. They've had like different folks come in to film like different things for different stuff here and there, but um, this was more, like this was more just specifically for the website. So it'll be cool to see the new
exactly,
revamped website.
exactly. So that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Especially like, it was funny because Elena was talking about it. She was like, they still have me as just an admin on there.
Oh, she's
And it's like
amazing.
really funny, like just this, like just in relation to
Yeah.
how much she's like grown since she's been
She's a
there.
manager
She's
now.
the manager now, and exactly. So like they definitely got to change that. So
Yeah.
that would be nice. But I thought that was funny. So yeah, it was nice that they got to be there and see us kind of in our element. It's again, like we said, they
Hmm.
don't go there as much or to around the studios. They're usually just the competitions, or if they're at the studios, they're usually in the city because that's where they live.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that makes the most sense. So yeah, it was great to have them there. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, like we had talked about last week, bachata was Tuesday. That was really fun. We kind of have been doing a lot of cool routines in that, and
Hmm.
David was back to teaching that class, which was awesome. And it was so funny because like I had talked about, I know I keep going on these tangents, but I just like think of things that happened like during the
I
class.
wasn't there for this class, so go
It's just
ahead.
like, it's just like really funny, but it was really hilarious. So I talked about last week how when Elena taught the bachata class, because David had to he was doing like an introductory lesson or something like that.
Yeah.
She put on like regular bachata song and then put on Beautiful Girls by Sean Kingston afterwards. And it was like, oh, we can do this bachata song, or do bachata to this song. And then she played it again, like at the beginning of class, like before she went to go teach her own lesson. And then David was like, I'm gonna go put on a real bachata song. And then he like changed it and she was like, I am offended. And it was like funny. And so that was really funny. So yeah, again, that class, it's kind of like salsa where we just kind of like build up things that we worked on the week before. And it was a pretty small class. I want to say there was like 5 of us, maybe 6, including me and then David. And I think there was 1 new person there, I believe, because I hadn't seen them. So yeah, there was like 1 new person, I think, and then like I said, 5 of us. So it was pretty small, which is cool because I think the thing I have noticed, and I'm sure you have too, is that especially from when I've started, because like the first year or like the first fall I was there in the spring or like January through March of this year, there were some group classes that were like 20 people in the class. And like the whole studio was full of people. Now the kind of like norm is like no more than 10. And it's actually
flows.
Yeah, like exactly. It flows a lot. But the thing, and I talked about this before, the thing I've noticed is that, and this makes sense, that when there's less people, it's easier for the instructors to kind of like individually kind of help you with things, which is nice. That was kind of what bachata was like. Especially since I'm usually the only guy in the class, so I'm usually doing like the guy's steps, the leader steps with David, and he has to show me individually, and then he shows the rest of the girls like the ladies steps and the follower steps. And that's really helpful rather than like if it was like really crowded and he wasn't able to show me like things he wanted me to do. So that was nice. So yeah, again, pretty self-explanatory. The class was a lot of fun. And then tonight, again, like I said, we're off Wednesday, so there was no class. And then tonight again was the arm styling class, and then the American Smooth class, which was really fun. And it was cool. Again, we worked on just a lot of different things with, again, weight transfers and different things. We had like a little routine that we ended up doing with Elena in the arm styling class. I tell you, the arms are so difficult. And like I had talked about last week, with me being kind of a lanky guy and like with more like bigger and like thicker arms, it feels very awkward for me to do like the Latin arms because they're very good. And Elena's like, we were talking about like rotating our hands, like when we were going through, like you have to reach all the way to one side and then reach all the way to the other side. And then we added walks into it today. So we like did rumble walks, and we're going to continue that next week with the arms, and doing both at the same time when you haven't done that before very often is very difficult. So
level of coordination.
Exactly. It definitely is. So yeah, that was fun. And it was a really cool class. There was another small class. I think there was like 4 of us. So it was nice to have this kind of, again, that one-on-one attention to where we could kind of like, Elena could work with us on things that she thought we could do better and things we could improve on, which was great. And then, like I said, the smooth class was also great. Just like last week, like I had said, we did Viennese waltz, and this week we did tango, which is also obviously a lot of fun. It's also just like Viennese waltz where you're kind of sunk in your knees, like I talked about last week, and that can make you very tired, your legs very tired when you're like sitting the whole time. And obviously you're in frame, and like with me, you're like leading the person around and stuff like that, and you have to like especially when you're going in the promenade and stuff like that, you really have to be like, you have to really lead them like around and stuff like that when you're doing the swivels and stuff like that, or the sways. It definitely takes a lot of energy. So that was a lot of fun. And I got really into it though, and our friends, a lot of like, I think like a lot of people, or the few people in the class were like, oh, look at Matthew doing this, because like Elena was sitting, I think, talking to somebody, and they were like, oh, watch Matthew, he's really in character now. And then she was telling everybody, she was like, oh, well, in December, he's getting ready for us to start doing standard. And I'm like, yeah, that's right. And so that was fun. It was cool to, again, because like I had talked about, smooth is still pretty new for me. So it's fun to start getting like a little bit more acquainted with that style, because like obviously I've loved watching it, and I've done some stuff like again, like we talked about, when you first start like at the studio, they kind of introduce you to all the styles as kind of like the basic stuff, and then they kind of decide the styles for you, or you can pick of like what you are interested in, but they won't throw you like into all the styles at once, obviously, because I've been working on Latin for a year, and that took a lot.
Yeah.
Like that year, it's a lot of time spent on just working on one style. You spend a lot of time on one style. But yeah, it's really cool to actually be getting, like, again, more kind of acquainted and more familiar with another style that I've been interested in learning, especially since it's really different than Latin I do, and being like in frame, and the posture is different and everything like that. So yeah, that was a really fun class. And then again, tomorrow we have Jive. So yeah, that's pretty much what happened at the studio this week. And yeah, it was cool that they had the marketing people come over, like I had said again. So yeah, pretty quiet week besides that. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
I think a lot of the things, there's probably also a drop in the number of people doing the group classes, because a lot of those people that were just doing the group classes back in the spring are actually competing this time around.
Right.
I think as of the last time I looked, I think we have about 12 people from the studio either competing or doing a showcase, and that's not to mention just the people that are just doing the formation dance with us. So it's really exciting. There's a lot of people competing for the first time, a lot of people doing a showcase for the first time. I was scared that I scared one of them the other day. But yeah, because I was like, oh, you're doing your first showcase in big crowd, everybody, it's a big competition, and I was like, I need to be quiet. Anyway,
exactly, because like it's the same thing with me. So
I know.
It's like, well,
it's fine. I was like, why did I start telling this person this? Anyway, everybody's gonna be fine. Everyone's gonna do great. Okay.
Everybody's gonna do great, and we're all gonna be there for each other. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I was going to come to the arm styling class, but I got a haircut. I think people have probably realized at this point, but I am going to be there next week because my lesson is like the same, like right before it, so it just works better with the schedule. Yeah, so I honestly, prepping for the competition in November, I really haven't done too much aside from just making sure I'm coming for my lessons. I tried to start running the other day. Well, I did, and then I think sometimes when I run outside, my throat gets like annoyed because of the air in the fall. And I don't know. So then it's like, okay, now I need to recover before I can go run again. So I'm trying to work on building my stamina. So I'll be doing that. And then I'm trying to get into the studio to practice a little bit more, just so that way I'm going over my routines, just because there are only a handful of weeks left.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
What about, I know you did quite a few things this week for the November competition to prepare.
Yeah, I did. It was pretty interesting because, again, like you said, it's just so crazy to me that it's like 5.5 weeks away at this point. It's just like so crazy that we just have so much stuff, like talking about it and saying that length of time is just so insane. But I had my lesson Monday, and I actually went to go because one of our instructors' wives owns a ballroom studio, like right next to our right next to our studio. And we buy a lot of like our kind of like gear and different clothes and stuff like that for her, like that, and outfits. And I was telling Elena that like I want to have new things for the competition, and she agreed that it probably would help me as well. So I went to go try on like the official Latin shoes, and I picked them out, and the official Latin like top, like shirt. And the shirt, man, it's really tight, but it looks really cool. And the shoes, oh my gosh, they're so different than the shoes I have now. I have now like the actual, it's kind of like practice shoes that you can do style in. And the Latin heels are like a half inch to a full inch higher in heel. And so it feels like you're way taller, and like it's like really different, but they look really cool. So I did that, and then after we did that, one day we did our lesson and like practicing all our Latin routines. This was kind of the last week that we worked on footwork, or that we really detailed it, because we really had been talking about it in detail for like 2 or 3 months at this point, every single lesson. And I think next week we're really going to start working on arms for me, because I have a few like arm techniques that I'm doing in my routines, but I want to have actual specific ones. Elena said that at least it helps, because usually Latin, it's more about the girls' arms and the guys. So like I don't have to like do too much, which is like, that's helpful for me, especially like I had talked about that Latin is just, the arms are really difficult. And so that would be cool. And then like I talked about last week, we were planning on starting our showcase this week, and we officially started our showcase this week, which is it's just so exciting, because like I just can't even like explain how happy I am about it, because I know how special it's going to be to perform and tell that story in front of everybody that I'm like that, and just in front of all my friends and everything like that, and to be able to see what Elena comes up with in terms of the story and the choreography. Like just the beginning of it is like, we started the beginning of it, and it already looks so great and so amazing. So I just can't wait to see what she ends up doing for the rest of the dance and the rest of the song. She said that we'll probably try to finish it in the next like 4 weeks, like right before the competition.
Yeah.
And really just kind of drill that like story and dance into our minds. So we just really just finish it and are not stressing about it too much. But again, like I talked about, I've done a few, well, I've never really done a showcase in front of this many people.
Yeah.
I haven't.
You've done like the mini ones in the
Like I
studio.
said, I did the mini one last year, and then I did the music video, and obviously there was no one there when we were filming. So this is the first time I'm really going to be performing, like when it's just Elena and I and everybody watching, and it's like with all the lights and like and the music and everything like that, and again the attention's on us and stuff like that. It's definitely going to be nerve-wracking, but I also think it's going to be so exciting and so just fulfilling, because I know that's what Elena had said, especially like I had talked about last week, that the story is very like personal and kind of like vulnerable. It's going to be a thing. It's me being very vulnerable with the dance, with the story I'm telling. And I was telling Elena, I was like, I wonder with this personal of a story, like how I'm going to feel when I dance it. And she was like, I definitely, you probably will be taken back to those feelings and those emotions you were feeling during like what you're telling through the dance. But I also feel like it's going to be very fulfilling and very rewarding once you do it. And I definitely am. I definitely agree about that, and I'm really excited to see that how that feeling actually feels. So yeah, it was really great to actually, like I said, get that showcase started, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So yeah, that's pretty much what's been happening at the studio this week for me. Like I said, getting kind of prepped for the competition. I'm kind of in the same boat as you, where I've been really. You're the one that actually told me this, and I'm glad you did. Because I said I wonder what, because this is like I had talked about before. This is gonna be the first time I'm actually like competing. Like a lot more rounds than I have in the past, because like I had said in my first competition, I did 15 dances total, and that took about 2.5, 3 hours. And this time it's going to be like 34 dances, probably over a span of like 5 or 6 hours. There will be a little bit like a few breaks in between, but the first time I'm doing like it's like double the dances I did back in February. And I had said I wonder how my body will kind of like react to that, and you were like, make sure you start like you keep your stamina up or get your stamina up, and everybody told me that too. So I've been doing that as well. I've been running / jogging / walking. I'm more of a jogger / walker. Like I'm not much of a runner. I don't know. I just get really winded when I like run. And
I do the 5K app. Yeah, like I literally the maximum amount of time I was running the other day was like a minute, and then walk for a minute and a half, and then run for a minute, and then walk for a minute and a half. Yeah, I will never do more than a 5K.
I could never do. I know I can't run that long. I seem to get way more out of walking. Like I feel more like I've done more if I walk. So
that's also fine. Yeah.
Exactly. Like I try to walk like 30-40 minutes a day, and that's what I'll try to do. And then like I said, exactly. And then I'll try to jog like 1 or 2 laps around my neighborhood. And I've been trying to do like cardio 2 or 3 days a week. So that's kind of the good thing, that again, that's going to just keep my stamina up and make sure that's kind of prepared for doing that many dances in a row. And then again, like you had said, just getting in the studio as much as I can, even when there's no class or I don't have a lesson, that I can just go in and practice, because it's just, I find it way easier for me to practice at the studio than it is like at my house, obviously. So yeah, that's exactly. I've tried to practice in my house, and it's not easy. Exactly. November is going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited about it, and we've definitely been putting in a lot of hard work for it, but I know it's going to pay off. And I remember like it's cool, like you had just mentioned, and I think our instructor said this before. I think this is going to be the biggest turnout for competitors that Glenrock has ever had, which I think is going to be so awesome, that like it's actually going to be like this competition. So it's going to be so great. I have no doubt it's going to be amazing. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
We are
very excited.
We're very competitive too. Because so if any of you haven't been to a Dance With Me competition, they do have prizes for top studio, and it goes based on the number of entries and the cheering, like everybody cheering on the sidelines, participation, spectators, all that. So I will say this again: if you live in the tri-state area and you are interested in coming to attend any part of the competition, it's the whole weekend before Thanksgiving, and then also the Thursday and Friday as well of that weekend. Just reach out to us, and we can connect you with the studio to get spectator tickets to come watch. So,
exactly, that'd be great. It was so weird. It feels like we were just at the hotel like a few months ago. Well, we were, but it's crazy that we're already going to be back there again so soon.
It's like my home away from home.
Exactly, it is.
Oh my goodness. All right. So enough about that. One last thing
Yes.
before we transition to Dancing with the Stars. You have also been working on your midterm performance.
Mhm.
So you wanted to give a little update on that.
Yeah, it's been really interesting so far, actually. Like I talked about last week, or a few weeks ago, that I'm in a
Mhm.
jazz dance class at my school, and it's been a lot of fun, and it's been so great to actually do that again. Do like obviously I dance like almost every day off, like away from school,
Mhm.
like at our studio, but it's really cool to have like another outlet for me to dance like off campus or like on campus as well. So that's really cool. And like you had said, this is like midterm time for all my classes, and that includes my jazz dance class. And the cool thing about the jazz dance class, I'm not sure if I had mentioned kind of how it works, but how the jazz dance class midterm works is that, like I had said, I think we've run like 8 or 9 steps, like
Mhm.
jazz steps in that class so far. And we had to pick a song that we could do that had like a consistent beat to it, and then pick 5 or 6 of the 8 to 9 steps, and then we could add anything else we wanted
Mhm.
into it. And so I picked, I think, 7 of the 8 or 9 steps, maybe 6 of the jazz dance steps, and I added like 6 or 7 of my own ballroom steps in it as well, and my own Latin steps, because I put one of my samba steps in like one of the kind of like practice midterms we did when she paired
Mhm.
us up with someone, and she saw it and she's like, oh, I really like that. And I was like, oh, that's from my samba routine. Can I or can you I asked her, can I put some of my ballroom steps in it, because I
Yeah.
think I'll just make it a lot of fun. And she's like, you absolutely should, because it will, like, I'm sure it would really like interest a lot of people, because they probably don't know
Mhm.
what ballroom steps look like. And
Yeah.
so that was really cool. And I it's really funny because I picked the song. I had 4 options for the song originally, and I was like looking, I listened to all the songs and danced the routine to
Mhm.
all the songs. And then I like kind of scrapped all of that and picked a new song, kind of just out on a whim that I wanted to pick before, but I wasn't sure how it was going to look, um,
Mhm.
like like within the routine. And when I danced the routine the first time, there's actually some lyrics that fit what I'm doing. Like it matches with what the moves I'm doing
Mhm.
with the lyrics. And
Yeah.
the first time I listened to it, I'm like, wow, that's actually perfect. And I had no idea it was going to be like that. It just ended up working out perfectly. And so, yeah, I performed the midterm next week, which is going to be really kind of, I don't want to say nerve wracking, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Probably the coolest thing you've ever had to do for a grade.
Exactly. It definitely is going to be the
Yeah.
coolest thing I've ever done for a grade. I danced the routine. We practiced it on Monday, and we also practiced it again this week today.
Mhm.
And we like one by one, we all left the studio or the room after class, and we went one by one, went into the studio, and she watched us do our routine just so she could give us some like
Mhm.
some advice, or just how we thought like the music was and everything like that, or how she thought the music was and everything like that. And she said she thought mine was great, so that made me really happy to hear
Good,
that she
good.
really liked it. And I said, I really hope that you like the ballroom steps in it, and she was like, I absolutely love that. So I'm glad that my kind of creative mindset to want to put my ballroom
Mhm.
steps in as well, along with the jazz dance steps, I'm glad that she ended up liking that, and it paid off. So I'm excited to perform it in front of my class next week,
Mhm.
and it should be a lot of fun. Yeah, that class has been awesome, and it's been a really cool experience.
Okay, awesome. I know. And good luck. Yeah,
Well, thank you so
I'm
much.
sure it's going to, I can't wait to see it. So I'm sure it's going to look great. And then I think maybe once you know, are they going to be able to film it?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna see. If they're not, I'll just record myself doing it just
Record it.
on my
Yeah.
own, and I'll show it to you then. But I'll see if they can, because like I'm sure they would probably want people to film it, because it's like a pretty big thing you're doing in the
Yeah.
class. So we'll see. But yeah, I definitely will try to get it filmed.
Okay, awesome. And then you can share it. So,
Yes.
okay, all right. Let's start going into Dancing with the Stars. So I know we tried to limit ourselves on the number of top dances and honorable mentions this week to try to
Just
keep
so
it
hard, by the way.
down because there's less dancers now. So we have to kind of
Yes.
like we want to pick everybody.
It was so
um
hard to do that, by the way.
yeah, no, I know. I was like, so we did stretch it even before we got on the call. We are like, all right, we're gonna do 5 honorable mentions, but
Yes.
4 top dances. So okay, how about you start with one of, or let's go through all of your honorable mentions and then we'll go through mine.
Okay, that sounds good. So my first one is Jesse and Alan. And they did a jive to One Way or Another from Hocus Pocus 2. And I thought she was so good. I really thought she was absolutely fantastic, especially like considering the fact that like during the package, she had seemed like this week she really kind of hit a wall in terms of like her confidence and just really she was just very emotional. And I know a lot of kind of stars in the celebrities on the show have kind of gone through that, and I know we had talked about because like their rehearsal schedules are very grueling and a lot of dance experience. And I just thought she was absolutely fantastic. I said, can we talk about their outfits first? I was like, it was so amazing.
Gosh.
I was like, I know it was for pretty much the entire cast, but the like makeup, wardrobe, hair department was like flawless in this episode.
But like I honestly, I mean, they were all great, but hers and Alan's were most accurate. I saw the picture on Instagram before I even got to watch the episode, and I was like, what is this? Like she looks exactly like Sarah Jessica Parker. Bruno
I know.
And Alan looked exactly like the guy Billy, and he kept sitting in the background, and I don't know if he was doing it intentionally or not at certain points, but he was sitting in the background in the skybox when they're doing the scores, and he kept going like this.
Oh, that was so funny.
It's like part of me is like, I think he's just chilling, and then the other part of me is like, no, I think he's doing this like as the character. I mean, their costumes are amazing, but anyway, back to the dance.
They were, and that's the only. I mean, like, I wanted to just make sure I shouted out everybody because all the costumes were the best. I didn't want to be like, oh, you didn't say it.
Yeah, but that was just like the top, though.
That was the exact top one. I completely agree. It was the exact top. Like that was most accurate, best costume makeup ever for that night. It was so great. I had said that they both looked great, and I said that she seemed so much more confident and comfortable. And it seemed like it's the most fun she's had on the show so far, which is like it really makes me happy to see.
Yeah.
I thought her kicks had really, really good, like just great energy and great power in them as well. Especially since jive kicks, like from experience, they're not easy. And so I thought that was amazing. I thought she played the character so well. And I thought the choreography that kind of lent it to storytelling and the kind of characterization was really great. I said hands down her best dance so far, and it's like, and that's not I don't think it's even close for me. I said because especially like I had said, she's been somewhat hard on herself, so I know that. But it was great to see her be a little bit more confident and happy, because it knows that again, it shows that she's kind of like overcoming those kind of obstacles that she's facing. And I thought, again, like I said, her footwork was much sharper, like Len had said, because that's what they had talked about when she did her rumba last week and said maybe work on your footwork. She definitely did. And I thought her scores were very fair. And they got 3 8s and a 7. So yeah, I thought she was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, same. I mean, I think for like having not done, I mean, what did she do? She did a rumba. I'm like scrolling through my notes. I think she did a foxtrot, and she did
the samba. Samba was the first.
She did cha-cha. No, so I'm like, okay, but jive is very different. So I mean, honestly, I think there were certain parts that I was trying to watch because I was like, I don't know if Alan was trying to make this as part of the dance, like choreography. I felt like her legs were like a little wide. Yeah. She was stepping, and I don't think her toe was pointed all of the time, but like she kept the timing and she was kicking her leg. It wasn't like just it wasn't just like a little thing. And I'm just so happy that she had like a real breakthrough moment, and she got 8s, I think, right? Yes. I lost track of the scores, but I know she got 8s, and I was like,
3 8s. Yeah,
that's amazing for just having a rough week last week, because they were really rough on her with the commentary. Because I rewatched last week's episode again over the weekend because my mom hadn't gotten to watch it, so like I saw it again, and you could tell Alan like even felt bad for her when they were giving the feedback, but then they kind of like redirected it, and I'm glad she really just came out and killed it. Like honestly, if some of the other top dances weren't so good, I would have had her up in the top dance.
Me too. Hands down. There's no doubt. It's just crazy to me, especially since she, like we had talked about, that she like, you could tell she really, really wants to do well. Yeah. And you can tell that how much it means to her. It's not like she's like, oh, I could kind of take it or leave it at this point. Like she really is like, I want to improve, and I'm going to take the judges' comments and their feedback and really apply it to like my next dance. And she hands down did that in this dance. And so I thought it was absolutely great.
Okay, so who did you have next?
Awesome. Okay, so next I had Selma and Sasha. And they did a quick step to the Muppet Show theme song, which I absolutely love that song. And it's just really fun and upbeat, which I always love. And I had talked about this last week, and I said I love how Sasha is really focusing on like taking care of her, and that he's not over like pushing her to like her kind of maximum to where it could become dangerous. But it also uh but it's also he's still getting a lot out of her, and he also the choreography is also very like great. I think
Yes.
his choreography again for still like making sure he's not pushing her too much. It's still like, oh, this looks great still, and I really think that's like a cool thing, and really a props to him that he's kind of finding that balance, which I really love. Um, and I had said that I loved the whimsical kind of fun upbeat vibe to it. And I said that she played the emotions and kind of character very well, especially because I liked the like facial expression she did, and when she like they were on the couch and stuff like that, it was like great. It was so awesome. I said I thought her footwork was light, but it had a ton of power and energy. Especially, it's kind of going back to the jive she did during Elvis Week, where she said that like kind of doing those fast dances are kind of hard for her because sometimes her kind of muscles can give out like kind of randomly, which I can't even imagine how difficult that is. But you couldn't tell anything like that she would have would have had any problem at all. Like she was just so graceful, and like I had said, I thought her footwork was very light, but it was still very sharp and had a lot of energy to it. I thought her frame was really good. And I thought maybe at points it could have been a little bit better in terms of like again maybe the like it being a little bit more composed and straight. But overall I thought her frame was great. And then I had said I really thought I love the outfits they picked for this dance. I thought that was really cute.
Yeah, it was cute.
It was cool. It was really cute. And then I said that I really think it seems like she's really getting more comfortable with dance as well, because obviously the first she did Viennese Waltz, which was great the first week. But you could tell that she was still kind of talking about how like, oh gosh, dance is still like new for me, and it's like I'm not comfortable with it and stuff like that. This was like the week where I really felt like you could tell she was just so comfortable and like confident with dancing, which I'm like really happy to see. And I had said I thought they and she especially like they glided across the floor like with ease. It didn't seem like there was like any kind of like misstep or any kind of like tension or awkwardness in like gliding across the floor. It was like so easy and so great for them. And just like Carrie Ann had said, I thought like it's the really cool thing impressive about them is that they're how in sync their movements are, like Carrie Ann had said. And I really just like totally agree with that. And I noticed that when I was watching as well. And I think that again, it's really cool to see how, because I know Carrie Ann says this a lot when like you're watching the dances and you really the dances really become two people becoming one. And I really noticed that with this dance as well. It seemed like there was just one person dancing. And I just thought, I thought it was great. She got the like we were talking about last week. We were hoping she would get eights. She got all 4 eights this week. So really, really great improvement. And I'm just so glad to see her get eights. And I'm just really happy and proud of her. She did really, really good.
Yeah, it was amazing. I think, and with her condition, it's like you also just have good days and bad days and good moments and bad moments. And I mean, I think she could have also just been having a great day that fortunately she was able to get through the routine. I mean, she didn't look like she wavered at all. I think my only criticism I just felt like at the end they all of a sudden kind of stopped and then ran.
Yeah, they did.
It was like I'm surprised Len didn't really say much about it.
No,
I think there was so much content before it that they were like, okay, I'm not going to say anything.
Exactly.
And maybe that like because I know she's very out of breath when she's done, so maybe that was just like stamina, like just like go through it and then add the little stuff at the end so that way she gets through it. But it was, I mean, it was amazing. That was the best she's ever done. And and also at the end they made her do her imitation of Miss Piggy, which was hilarious.
That was so funny. That was hilarious. And I love how they had Miss Piggy and Animal and Kermit like on like the green screen, and they like came up and said, "Oh, good job," and everything like that. That was really cute. So she was absolutely great. I 100% agree with you. Best dance so far. There's no doubt. So she was really, really great.
Okay, so next one.
Awesome. So next one for me is Hiding in Artem, and they danced the Viennese Waltz to Chim Chim Cheree from Mary Poppins. And I've noticed that about this show that when they've done a Mary Poppins thing, they kind of go all out for the set, which I think is pretty cool. They've always done that. which I really like. And I said, oh my gosh, she was amazing. It was so good.
Mhm.
And I said she has found her confidence, like Carrie Ann had said, especially like I had said going back to like week 2, she had even said that she was like kind of fully set on quitting, which I'm so
Mhm.
glad she didn't because like Carrie Ann had also said,
Yeah.
we're really starting to see that dancer that's been inside of her that she had talked about when she was Charlie's age and growing up really,
Mhm.
really start to come out again. Like you can tell that she danced before just
Yeah.
based on the way she moves, and she's
Yeah.
just so great. And I thought her frame and footwork and arms were so, so fantastic. I just thought they were
Yeah.
great. Again, it was like it just kind of was she did it with ease. There was no kind of tension, or she was like going through the motions or fighting through it. I just thought it was just so
Mhm.
fluid and so smooth, which was great. And she played the character very, very well, which I loved. And again, just kind of going back, same thing like Selma. She was very light on her feet as well. And again, the gliding across the floor just seems so
Mhm.
easy for her. And I agree with Bruno how she said, or how he said that she was very graceful. I
Yeah.
completely agreed about that. I thought Artem's choreography was so good because they kind of like incorporated the
Yeah.
umbrella, and then they did like stuff where they were kind of like spinning around each other, and they
Yeah.
started up on the top of the stage, like with the little like kind of chimney sweep, like
Mhm.
roof thing. And I thought that was like so cool. But then they obviously did the Viennese waltz stuff in hold and in frame, like on the floor. I just thought the
Yeah.
choreography was so creative. And again, kind of going back to what we talked about, like at the beginning of the season, I think Artem's a really good partner for her.
Yeah.
And I just think he's really getting a lot out of her, which is great to
Yeah.
see. And I, again, just like Carrie Ann had said, hands down, her best dance. There's no kind
Mhm.
of doubt in my mind about it. And she's been improving every week, which has been awesome to see. And she got 2 9s and 2 8s, which I think was totally well deserved. And again, I just thought it was great. I love the storytelling of the dance and just the amazing performance aspects and everything like that. I'm just really happy
Yeah.
that she's getting more confident and more comfortable.
Yeah. I she was in my honorable mentions today too, or this week, and I agreed. I just it was her best routine. I honestly really didn't even say like have anything to like
Yeah.
critique. I thought it was great. It was, and I love Mary Poppins, and I just felt like it was just so she just like was polished the whole time she did the
Yes,
routine. So it was great. She definitely well deserved.
exactly. And she played and she turned in, she was Mary Poppins
Hmm.
for the night, which was great
Yeah.
to see. She definitely played the character very well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So who else did you have?
So next one for me is Jordan and Brandon, and they
Okay.
danced the jazz routine to Remember Me from Coco, and I absolutely love
Hmm.
that song. And
Yeah.
it was so cool to see because she was talking about how like she sings that song to her son when she's like putting him to sleep, and that's just like so sweet.
Yeah.
And
And he was at he was there at the end,
he was
and
there
then
at
she
the
sang
end with
at
the
the
dad and
end.
everything. It was so cute. It was
Yeah.
amazing. And I just thought I just wrote one word at the top and I said fantastic. It was so
Yeah.
good. And it was so great that they actually like she sang the first line of the song.
Hmm.
She kind of got to showcase obviously the talent that she's known for, and then
Yeah.
obviously going to the dance, which is awesome. I thought again, just like last week, her lines and arms were very fluid and very smooth. Again, it just was so easy for her. I again, just like last week as well, her facial expressions are on point. She really plays the
Yeah.
character very, very
Yeah.
well. I absolutely love. Um, the choreo from Brandon, oh my gosh, that was very detailed. It was not easy.
Hmm.
It was very difficult because there were a lot of
Yeah.
turns, a lot of like different spins and things that were going around each other. It was just so detailed. And I thought she
Yeah.
just pulled it off so great. The
Hmm.
storytelling was amazing. And her turns hands down got better. She
Yeah.
listened to the judges' comments, and I know because like I mean they were playing it in the package, and Brandon was like, "We're gonna get these turns down right," and he kept
Yes.
saying, "We're gonna do this, we're
Killing it.
gonna do this," and he kept telling her, "This is what we're supposed to do with
Hmm.
the turns." You could tell that she really, really kind of honed that kind of
Hmm.
advice, or really took that advice and was like, "You know what? I'm gonna go work on my turns." It was the turns were really good, really, really good, and I obviously really improved. And I agree with Len that it was hands down her best dance. There's again no doubt in my mind.
Hmm.
Like I enjoyed the cha cha in her week 1, but I think I enjoyed this
Yeah.
probably more than that. So it hands down her best dance, and she also got 2 9s and 2 8s, which was very well deserved. And yeah, I was so happy to see her get a 9. And yeah, I thought the dance was great.
Yeah. I actually had them in my top one of my top dances
Okay, cool. Yeah,
because I think when I was going like I kind of had her an honorable mention back and forth with like top
yeah,
dance depending, and then when I went back to the end, it just was. I think the other thing that it's like with the jazz, I just don't feel like there's as much to technically critique.
Right. Yeah.
So I feel like I'm just like, okay, she did it so well. Like I don't have any technical
Yeah.
critique. It just
Exactly.
wasn't as like some of the other jazzes were like stronger.
Right.
But I felt like it was great on its own. And then whereas like some of the other dances that I was kind of like going back and forth with, it's just kind of like, okay, well, their dance is a little more technical, so I could pick more on the technical. But
Mhm.
like I just thought it was so good for Jordan. So I actually had her as one of my top dances this week because
Exactly.
I
And
just felt like it was just such a step above where she's been.
yes.
And it really like there didn't really look like there was any technical missteps or
Yeah.
anything. So that's why I put her in one of my top.
Exactly.
But it
And I
was
could have done the
amazing.
same thing. I was
Yeah.
very close to putting her in my top two. And that's the problem, like with the top people being so good at this point that like
Yeah.
like we had talked about. If these
Yeah.
the people at the top and our top dancers were not like so close
Mhm.
together every week, like it would make it way easier to like make the decisions. But everybody's so good that it makes it really
Yeah.
hard to be like, what are we going to do honorable mentions and what
Yeah.
are we going to do
Yeah.
like for a top? And especially because of the fact that like when I put stuff in my honorable mentions, sometimes it could be like maybe not the most technical dance, or the like
Yeah.
maybe not the best technically, but I really still like was impacted by
Yeah.
it. And the same thing with the top. And
Yeah.
so, or vice versa. Like I could have a really strongly technical dance in my honorable mentions,
Mhm.
but it doesn't mean I like it any less just
Yeah.
because I put it in my top. So it's really hard to like make
Yeah.
the differentiation between the two.
Yeah, it's just like personal preference too. I'm like, I really liked like her dance, but
Yeah, I did too.
okay.
Exactly.
So who was your last honorable mention?
So my last honorable mention was Joseph and Daniela,
Okay.
and they did a Charleston to Star is Born from Hercules.
Mm-hmm.
And there were a lot of reasons why I chose this
Yeah.
dance, even though again there were some kind of different things he could
Yeah.
have on, but it's still, I thought it was a great dance overall.
Mhm.
I heard something about it that I heard something along the way. I don't know if this is true, but I heard it was Danny's first Charleston for the show. I don't know if that's true, but if
Oh.
it is, I
Oh
I
yeah,
thought
I didn't
that
know that.
if that's the, because that's what I heard people commenting, and if that's the case, I thought the choreography was so good. Like regardless, it was so good. But if it was her first time, it makes it even more impressive because there was so
Yeah.
much stuff in it. I said it like, first of all, I'm so glad that she's back. It was so obviously we all missed her, and
Really
we all
cool.
know that Alexis did a great job. But I know even she and everybody else was just saying we're so glad to have Danny back with
Yeah.
Joseph. And he had said that he really relates to Hercules just because of the, like, again, kind of the story of the movie and everything like that.
Mhm.
And I thought he did great. Again, he seemed to have a lot of confidence.
Yeah.
And I thought his footwork was probably the best I've seen him do in terms
Mhm.
of like his kicks and everything like that. Even better than his jive, I would say.
Yeah.
Even
Well,
that
I
was
think
week one.
Charleston, they want
Yeah,
the flex foot, which kind of
exactly.
makes it
Right.
a little
Right.
easier.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know the whole technique on Charleston. I just kind of get the gist of what it should be.
I think Charleston's kind of mixed in with all kind of like different styles
Yeah.
or different things. I think it might be like a different
Yeah.
or different kind of like a element of swing, because I know we've talked, there's like jitterbug and Charleston and kind of Lindy Hop and all
Yeah.
that stuff. I don't know where all of those come from, but I've
Mhm.
obviously like I heard of them and know what they are and stuff. But I thought that he was very light on his feet for, again,
Mhm.
just being such a big guy. And I thought again I thought he had very good power in his legs and kicks,
Yeah.
especially for such a fast song.
Mhm.
And I thought the tricks and the choreo, where the leaps and jumps and flips, were really fun.
Yeah.
And like I said, they don't do very many Charlestons on the show, so it was really
Yeah.
cool to see them do that. I thought I've always said this about him. I think his strongest suit, and the weirdest thing is, again, with him being such a muscular guy, I've
Mhm.
always thought his strongest suit was his arms. He has something about his arms where like it's very fluid for being such
Yeah.
a big guy again. And I've just always been so surprised about that. And I know Derek commented on that on his in
Mhm.
week one with his jive. I definitely agreed with Carrie Ann that there was some instances where the lifts kind of seemed like again, he was putting
It
a lot of
wasn't
effort into
smooth.
it. Yeah, and it wasn't smooth. So he'd like put
Yeah.
her down and kind of like kind of stumble a little bit, and then it would
Mhm.
take him off a little bit of beat of the music.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that. So if they do that more in the future, maybe make sure that's a little bit more smoother. And I agreed with
Yeah.
Len and Derek that what they said, that the tricks and flicks were maybe a little bit too much in the dance. I definitely agree about that, but the Charleston part was great. So that's why I thought the dance was great in that way. And even like, again, I loved all the tricks and flicks and stuff like that and all different stuff. But again, I agree with them. They probably could have been dialed down a little bit and we still would have gotten like the same satisfaction out of it. And I actually think this is probably his best dance for me. And like, out of like the 4 he's done, I don't think there's any question about it for me, at least. And I think the 4 7s he got were fair. And the thing I've noticed about him is that he really like takes the judges' critique very, very seriously and like really tries to implement it in the next dance. Because I really like, I really noticed that from week to week so far, is that like if they tell him something, he really works on it the following week. So I really do like that about him. And I thought overall the dance was very good.
Yeah, I didn't have him in my honorable mentions, but I do agree it was his best one. I really liked it. I think it was pretty much everything you said. Like some of the there were too many tricks. They weren't super smooth. Like we know he could do them, but I think also he kind of had the curse of being the first one out of the gate. So I think like scoring wise, but I think it was fair. And I think it's just really just a testament to like how much everybody's improving, that like if he wasn't even one of the ones I considered as an honorable mention, like everybody's really stepping up.
And that's
so the only other person I had as an honorable mention, oh no, I lied. The 2 people I have as honorable mentions that you didn't have were because I had the top and anyway, Shangela and Gleb were one of them.
Okay.
So they did the Charleston to the song from Princess and the Frog, and it was really good. Yeah, it was really, really good. I thought that I think the reason that I didn't keep her in my top was just because I feel like from a technique perspective, I know that the Charleston maybe not was like as strong. Her performance quality is just amazing, that I think that's why a lot of people feel that she deserves more points. And I think it's hard because like if I'm looking at strictly at the performance, I was like, she is blowing people away.
Yes,
like performance alone, she should be higher scoring. But I think technique, I think the biggest thing is that I just hope, you know, her and Gleb like work moving forward on just honing the technique to get like a 9, you know, to move up a little bit more. And then it was cool that with like Jennifer Lewis was there and sang the song, and then the whole, because like I said to my mom, I was like, I don't know where she's from, and then I was looking and I saw, oh, she was in Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and then at the end they were talking about the whole thing with Alfonso, and then I was saying her name wrong, and then they had like this whole conversation, and he was like about how Jennifer was like played his aunt on the show, and it was so cool that they had that connection, and how Shangela was saying like, you know, she used to work for Jennifer Lewis as her assistant, I guess. So that was really cool.
So I agree. They were in my top, since we already are talking.
We flip-flop.
Go
ahead, say it now.
I thought, again, I agree with you that I think the Charleston probably, again, maybe just making the technique a little bit more stronger, a little bit more refined will definitely like work wonders for them. But I thought overall, I would say it's hard for me to say like, again, who's the top performance quality, but hands down she's like, I think running away with it pretty much at this point, just because she is just so good with the performance quality, and is comes out there and gives it 100% all the time, and is just like always confident and everything. I just absolutely love that about her, and I think she's just so funny, and it's just like the jokes she cracks and stuff like that. I thought the choreo from Gleb was great. I thought it was very creative, along with, especially for Princess and the Frog. I thought it really like lent itself to that, and I like especially like the frog leaps at the beginning and stuff like that. The storytelling along with the choreography really mixed well together. And again, her confidence is so awesome. It just like radiates off of the screen, and you're like, oh my gosh, like you go, girl, let's go.
Oh yeah,
it's so awesome.
That's undeniable. Like I will never.
It's so great. It's so great. And I thought the footwork was cleaner than last week as well. I know they talked about that. I definitely agree with that. And I remember, I don't know who said this. I think it might have been Bruno or Derek, but I remember one of them said that like she really embodied what the Charleston is supposed to be. And I do agree with that as well. And I think that the 4/8 that they got were fair. But I think again, just knowing Shangela and especially Gleb too, just both of them together, they're gonna be like, we need to get those 9s. So I'm hoping that next week they're gonna get the 9s, and I know that they're gonna have the drive and the resilience to do it. So I thought the dance overall was really good.
Yeah, I am positive about that too.
Me too.
So the other honorable mention I had was Vinny and Coco. And I was like on the fence because when you were like, I have 5, I'm like, okay, I'm putting him on here too. So they did the samba to the song from Luca, and it was just so good. Yeah. And he got 8s. And, you know, I again, like similar to with Jesse, I felt like, you know, he kind of had like, it was like up and down the past few weeks. Right. And he really just like went out there and killed it. And it was so good. And it was so entertaining. And, you know, like the samba is not an easy dance.
It's really, it's probably my hardest Latin dance.
It's hard because there's so many rhythms, and there's the bouncing, and then you don't bounce your head.
Yeah, exactly.
All of those things. So it's like, it's just a little bit crazy with all of that stuff. So, but yeah, I was just like, I gotta give him a shout out because that was great. It was a great comeback too.
Exactly. I totally agree. He wasn't in my honorable mentions, but I was so close to putting him in there as well. Again, it's just like, I was going to put him in there as well, but then it would have been 6. And then it's just like we already said 4, and then we go to 5. It's just like, it's so difficult. But the thing I liked about it, especially, is that, and I've heard people talk about this, is that like his performance quality was so good. And even if it wasn't the best technically, it really lent itself to the story of Luca, because Luca, like they talked about in the package, and I've seen the movie, and I think it's really, I love the movie, but what the beginning of the movie is about, like they had talked about, is like Luca kind of not like being confident in himself and really kind of being just not confident, but eventually he overcomes all that and is able to do all that stuff eventually. And I thought the storytelling in the dance lent itself to that. And especially I thought Coco's choreography was fantastic, especially since it was very like, I love the storytelling part of it, where it was like she showed him what to do first, and then he repeated it. So it was kind of like she was like the expert in it, like the story, and then he was Luca learning from it and was like scared to do it, but then was kind of gaining more confident. And I think that fits Vinny as well. And again, I thought the dance was great. I thought that I thought this kind of the choreography with the storytelling lent itself to what Vinny was talking about. And I love the costumes in that dance. I thought the costumes in that dance were great. And again, with Vinny, it definitely seems, and I noticed this from their first week as well, because we talked about this. I really think he takes the judges' comments, and I know almost all the couples do, if not all of them, but I really think he is affected a lot by the judges' comments, because I know the first week when he was talking about how like upset he was of like how the judges had talked to him, even though he understood the critiques and everything, he's like, him working really hard and still kind of feeling like he didn't do enough is really hard for him. And I think he definitely is showing like how serious he's taking this. And I absolutely love that about him. I think Coco sees that a lot in him as well. And I think she really kind of caters like her teaching style to that. Cause I feel like, I remember last week, I think the judges were kind of hard on him as well for his rumba. And I remember she was saying that she was really hard on him for that week, and this week that she was really going to like really try to reassure him. I think that's what he needs. And I think that really helps as well. So I thought that dance was great. And I just thought the overall kind of performance was awesome. It definitely kept my attention for sure.
Okay, let's go to the rest of your top dances. So I know you had Shangela as 1, and then who were your other 3?
We will probably, you still have.
I think we probably have all the same.
We probably, yes, exactly. Just
so
like
which one do you want to talk about first?
Yes, exactly. So which one do you want to talk about first? Because we know we'll have the same. So I'll just start, even though they were the last dance, I'll start with Charlie and Mark. It was absolutely unbelievable. Like I don't even have words for it. To be honest with you, I just wrote in all caps. I was like, amazing, amazing, amazing. I can't even explain it. The makeup and the hair were great. And I was like, my gosh, the commitment it took to like get that wig to stay on her. It was like, that was
300 awesome. Bobby pins.
300 bobby pins. I know
how many they put in my hair for the competitions. That's no exaggeration.
Exactly. It's crazy. And I said her performance quality is always just like I talked about every week, fantastic. And I said Mark did not give her an easy routine, and it was so good. The routine was so hard. There was so much stuff happening in it that it was like it was changing like every second to where like something new was like you were watching something new every single second. So it was not like they were doing anything. And another thing is that along with the hard choreography, that song is not really easy to dance to, I would assume. Just from listening
it's
to
like
it.
a weird song.
It's like a weird song. There's no like consistent like beat. There's no consistent beat. It's like dun, 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 like that you can kind of dance to. It's just like one consistent melody throughout the whole song. It doesn't change. But it changes melodies like very, very quickly, but it's like there's no consistent beat like I talked about. So there's so many different wacky things that happen into it that make it really difficult. But like every single detail of all those weird kind of like details in the song, they did moves to, and it was so great. And I had said her footwork, her arms, her legs, her postures were great. Like I had said again, Mark's choreography was so creative and great. And like I said, there was so much detail in that routine, and she played that character so good. Her characterization and her, like I said, her performance quality is just so fantastic. And the 4 9s that she got were, I think, absolutely deserved. I know people talked about I actually probably would have given at least 110. I know a lot of people were talking I think
that's what I saw too. And I think honestly, I feel like it's only week 4. I think we just want to hold back on it.
Exactly,
like,
right.
I really think that's but it was
what did you think?
I mean, everything. It was just amazing. I mean, I do feel like it was 10 worthy. I think they just held back because of the timing. 100%.
Especially like you said, like I think I've heard people said that they start giving 10s like 5. That's the week 5. That's the earliest. So maybe we'll start seeing 10s next week. But I think there was at least 1 10 worthy.
Yeah, it had to have been. I think they just didn't want to open the can.
Yeah, exactly. And it's gonna be like, well, I didn't get a 10. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, I know. Okay, so which of the next 2 do you want to discuss next?
Exactly. I'm just gonna go in order. So we'll go with Gabby and Val, of course. It was so good. They did a quick step to Mr. Blue Sky from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And I said, first of all, can we talk about her transformation that she said that took 6 hours to do? I was like, it was so flawless. Like it literally, the makeup and, like I said, makeup and hair and wardrobe for everybody was great. But along with Jesse and Alan, I would say probably she was the next best for me. Maybe tied with Charlie and Mark. Just that makeup, she really transformed into her. Like she really did. And it was
they had the most like that they needed prosthetics and stuff. Everybody else was like, no. That they were the ones that had like different skin color.
Exactly.
Got a green one, we got a yellow one, and we got a
exactly. So I said, no, exactly. I know. I said she absolutely killed it. She was so good. I just said, I'm like, just again, since we're kind of biased with like being like watching The Bachelorette and stuff like that, and seeing her even on The Bachelor and stuff and getting to know her this year, I'm just so proud of her to see like kind of how she's growing. It just makes me really happy to see that. Her frame was really good. I thought it was great. I thought it was just so compact or just so compacted and just so like poised and so strong. Again, there was like no, like she wasn't fighting it at all. You could tell that she was not uncomfortable with the frame.
Yeah, there was like no hesitation.
There's no hesitation. Exactly. Right. So yeah, her frame was great. As always, the performance quality, and again, like we've talked about with her cheerleading experience and dancing in high school and college and stuff, I think again she had talked about how her performance quality that was her strongest suit with dancing, and that was very evident in the dance. She's just so good performance wise, and her technicality as well, like we had talked about. I've talked about this with other dancers. She was very light on her feet all the way throughout, and her steps had again a lot of power and energy, especially with the quick step, because the quick step's not easy. And just like a lot of the other dancers that we had talked about, with everybody else, it was not easy. Val did not give her an easy routine. It was a very hard routine.
No, it was a really difficult routine. And I think like my mom even was kind of just like, I don't know. I feel like it wasn't that great. I'm like, Mom, no, like that was actually very technically hard.
Exactly. Yeah. It was very technical, detailed routine.
Yeah.
And I like I had said, it seems like she's getting very more comfortable with ballroom, which is great to see.
Yeah.
And I totally agree with Carrie Ann saying that she has everything she needs to win. And I definitely agree with that. And it was so awesome to see Rachel and Eric there. So it was really
Oh
cool.
yeah, I know. I was like,
That was really
God,
sweet. Yeah, that was great. And that made me happy. And again, I think it could have been a 10 worthy as well. All the nines I thought were well deserved.
Yeah.
It could have been could have gotten at least 110.
Yeah.
But again, they just don't want to pull them out too early.
Yeah.
Just to like be like whatever. But yeah, I thought the dance was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. So I thought the other things that I mean, everything about the dance, like I'm echoing what you think. I was just gonna add other comments about the whole thing.
Go ahead. Yeah.
So I thought it was funny how like Bruno grabbed Derek's hand.
Oh, I
and
love that. That was
holding
so
his
funny.
hand, and then there's a part where then he let go, and Derek's like, and then he's like moved away. And it was funny, and I was like,
That was
oh
so
God,
hilarious.
what's going on? Oh, anyway. And then they were like, well, how are you getting over the imposter syndrome? Or do you have the imposter syndrome? And she's like, I mean, no, because I'm an alien now. And then they were like, how do you ask Val, how do you think, how about Gabby's progress? And she's like, yeah, tell us, be honest, but not too honest.
I love her. I love her.
Hilarious.
I love her comedy and her humor. It's so great.
Yeah. I'm just like, she needs to be like a stand-up comic or something. But
She totally does. She would absolutely kill it.
Well, I mean, listen, I think being an ICU nurse, part of it, like you do need to be a stand-up comic to keep people entertained.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm sure.
Right.
Oh gosh. Okay. All right. Last one.
Yeah, last one. And obviously we're going to be talking probably about this dance for a long, long time.
Yeah.
It's obviously Wayne and Whitney with their jazz routine to Wait For It from Hamilton. And just at the start, like we talked about in the package, he got to play Aaron Burr in the Chicago production of Hamilton, which is really, really cool. And obviously Aaron Burr is the person who sings this song, or the character that sings the song in the show. So it was awesome to see him dance to the song that he sang when he was the character. I'm sure it was a pretty surreal moment for him. I said like the first thing, I'm like, I have no words of how good that was.
Yeah.
I said the storytelling and the performance qualities were absolutely fantastic. And just like Len had said, that the movements of all types, with it being sharp, calm, soft, aggressive, all of those components work together so flawlessly that like you were so focused on each one when they were happening. It wasn't like the whole dance kind of blended together. You knew when they were doing each detail so like vividly in your mind. And like they had talked about him getting his footwork better, it was definitely better, hands down. I just said he was so great. Whitney's choreo was absolutely fantastic. It was so good. It was probably some of the best choreography I've ever seen from her, and she has some of my favorite choreography on the show. Remember what Carrie Ann had said, and I totally agree about this. It wasn't just a jazz routine. She also added a lot of like kind of contemporary elements, a lot of hip hop elements. So it kind of like all just, it encapsulated like it wasn't even just a jazz performance. It was just a true like standout dance performance that you can see I don't even know how to explain it. It was just so that good. It held my attention the entire time, and he played that. They both did. They both played the characters perfectly, and he felt so calm. Like again, that there was no hesitation or no awkwardness. He was just so comfortable and confident in what he was doing, and he knew that he was like, I'm nailing this, and like I'm gonna go out there and I know this is what I'm supposed to do. And it was just so great. I think it's probably one of the best jazz routines I've seen in the history of the show. And I'm so excited to see him for the rest of the season, because he's absolutely fantastic. I thought the dance was so great.
I thought it was amazing too. I think the other thing too, that just like that I'm thinking of it now, is like kind of with the jazz performances this week, you start to get like a little glimpse of like, this is a preview of what the freestyles could look like in the finale, because it's like there's a little more freeform. When you think about it, both Wayne and Charlie had a jazz routine, and Gabby had a quick step. So she still kept her score up there with the technical routine. So I think that's just an important thing to note. But I know we have 2 weeks, or not 2 weeks, 2 episodes of Bachelor in Paradise to get to, so we'll wrap up with the last few things for Dancing with the Stars on the Disney Plus night. So there were really only 3 other dances we didn't talk about. Trevor and Emma did the samba to the song from Cars. It was, I mean, it didn't make either of our lists, but
Yeah.
I think, you can probably agree with me. I think like he had that amazing rumba week 2, so we want to see him get back into that. Again, he had the funny one-liners of the I almost threw up. It was fun when he was
that was
talking
really
about like
funny. Yeah,
driving the cars.
That song is really hard to do a samba too. So I thought that was great.
Yeah, I was coaching this morning one of my skating students, and she's like around my age, and she had watched it, and she was telling me that he did the samba to the song from Cars, and I was like, Life is a Highway, and she said, yeah, and I was like, that's kind of a slow samba.
Yeah,
I mean, it didn't look horrible when I saw it. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, it's not as bad as I thought it might be when she like primed me this morning.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I just thought it was funny. And then like Emma's like, oh, kind of like dancing, right?
Yeah.
He did hurt his shoulder, so I think
Yeah.
that definitely weighed on him.
Yeah.
So hopefully he has like a good like moment next week to redeem himself with that.
He definitely has it in him.
Yeah. I think somewhat similarly for Daniel and Britt, their quick step with the High School Musical, the series.
Yeah.
I've never watched it, but I know it's.
Yeah, not me neither.
Fun fact: Britt was in High School Musical as a dancer.
Okay, yeah.
I saw it on Twitter. I had no idea. Just like go look it up, like Britt Benet in High School Musical. She's like in all of them, dancing right alongside them as one of the cheerleaders in the lead. I was like, what?
That's amazing.
It's just amazing how things happen later on that we find out. He did have a better frame. I know that they were talking about how the music specifically for this dance was a challenge. Because the quick step, it's just there's a certain timing you have to maintain. But I think it was still good. It was still a good performance for him. Yeah. And I really liked they were talking a lot about how he's mentoring this younger boy, Asher.
Exactly.
I think it was personal for him. And then last but not least, Sam and Cheryl did their Paso Doble to The Greatest Showman, which I thought it was a good job. It was entertaining. Unfortunately, they were the couple to get eliminated because the judges saved Trevor and Emma. But I think Sam had a really good run and probably surprised people that he even like performed as well as he did.
Exactly. I'm sure he surprised himself. And
I'm sure you'll get more of the inside scoop.
Exactly.
Within the week, which we may or may not share on the podcast. But yeah.
Yeah, so I thought it was a good episode overall. Next week, I know you haven't seen, again, you didn't watch you did watch the end of the episode. So now you know what the now
I did.
Week. So the next week is prom night and then most memorable year. And so that's going to be, obviously I've loved both those themes in the previous season. So it'll be nice to see that. And I know it's going to be great dances and great choreography and stories and everything. So especially most memorable year, because most memorable year can get very emotional.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it's definitely going to be one to watch. And it'll definitely be a lot of fun to watch. It was a great episode overall. I thought Disney Plus night was great.
Yeah, and there are extra dances like the intro, and then the other thing they did with the 100 Years of Disney, that was all good.
Yeah, that was cool.
And now we have 8 hours of television to watch next week.
Yep.
Anyway.
Oh my God.
Okay. On to Bachelor in Paradise.
Yes, let's do it.
Okay, so the 2 episodes of Bachelor in Paradise.
Yes.
So we picked it up from after Teddy left the beach, and Brandon's giving Rodney an update on things. Mm-hmm. I just made a comment about how I feel like dope seems to be the new word because Brandon kept saying like, oh, she's dope, and like Serene is dope, but we don't want to date the same girl again. So they start all talking, and then Rodney like didn't go on his date.
No, I know. It's weird.
Because I know we were saying that of like he didn't go on the date with anybody.
No, I know.
Like, oh, I wish I took you, and we just like went. Mm-hmm. But maybe it was fortuitous that they did not. I've used that word twice now in this episode. Because so Lace, which at first I was like, what? But Lace and Rodney started talking at the bar, and then she said that her only requirement was that she has a 6-foot requirement and that she needs a golfer. And he's like, well, that's me. And then they started to cut to the thing about like how everyone's confused about them as a couple, and then they interjected like Wells said, every season has like a weird couple like that, not weird, but like just shocking. And he's like, and this year it's Rodney and Luce.
Rodney and Luce. Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you have anything else about that?
No, I thought it was really funny. I completely agree with you. Going back to actually to the intro of the thing. I thought it was so funny. Again, this is really not that important, but it's just we like to talk about things we find funny. I thought it was so funny during the intro that they like with Sally's bag. I thought that was like really funny. They did so much of that this episode, these first 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I know we'll get to her eventually, but that was just like kind of a funny little side note for me. They talked about Rodney. He, like I said, he had already had the date card after Teddy left, and then I guess he went to go talk to I wrote it down, Justin, Joe, and Serene, and he was like, they said, "Oh, I'm sorry she left," and I felt so bad because obviously you could see how how much he liked her, and he was trying to put on like that strong face, but you could tell he was pretty upset by it. I think
a lot of them were upset that she'd left without telling them, though.
No, exactly.
That, in general, I think was a thing that people were just generally upset about.
Exactly.
There's definitely something else going on with that, because I was even saying, "Oh, I think she might come back," and then I was like looking around online, and then somebody was commenting and being like, "I don't think so," based on her last post, and she posted something like, "Oh, like goodbye to toxic situations," and I'm like, something happened. But I think her and Andrew still follow each other on Instagram, so I don't think it was with him. Per se.
I'm not sure. Exactly. And then Rodney had said that he wanted just to relax and get to know everyone. He didn't want to kind of like zone in on one person now after kind of the whole Teddy thing, which I totally understand for him. Especially since he kind of put his whole heart into Teddy, and then it was like, well, that didn't work out. I'm just going to kind of take my time and step back for a minute. So that I think that's good on his part. And then Jill said that she was really excited about Rodney, but then Lace and Rodney go talk, and then they kiss, and then that's kind of how that ended. Those are the notes I had on that for that night.
Okay, so then all right, so then Ashley and I think just as a comment, sorry, I've got all my windows open. No, I think just generally through the episodes, like Rodney and Lace just seem to be getting stronger as a couple, and they seem good together. I wouldn't have paired them together, but
exactly, I wouldn't have either. But
I support.
Fine, exactly.
So then Ashley and Jared are now staying there, and they put Bachelor royalty in their like in their whatever occupation spot, and this whole thing. So like Wells tells the saga of Jared and Ashley to the group, and so I completely forgot that Claire had kissed Jared, and then I forgot about the Canadian Daniel guy, and I just love how Wells skipped the part when Ashley came back on the second season of Paradise that they went on a date with Wells and kissed him. Just did not talk about that at all. I mean, I don't know if he told them and then they just cut it out for the clip, and maybe just didn't want to, like, they're both married now. So, as of filming, Wells was not married, but he was married. I don't know, but whatever. I mean, it is what it is. Oh, then they had the whole thing about the farting.
Oh my gosh, I didn't put a note. I did,
we'll just say this here, and then I know as we keep going through, there's like more and more with. I love Ashley and Jared.
Me too.
I do, and I didn't get to listen to the podcast episode where they basically talked about all the criticism, but like I think the bottom line is they go there. They're asked to go there. They're probably getting paid to go there. He just started a job. They had a baby. They've had a crazy year, and like, look, they're not hurting, but they had a crazy year. They deserve a break. They deserve to go on a vacation. And like, if you can get paid to go and do that, and like Ashley loves meeting them, they love meeting the people, and they love talking to them, and like they get to go. They have no control over the editing, and I think that's where they shared a clip of the podcast episode, and I think that's the point. Is like Ashley started picking up on the fact that they were gonna like try to make a storyline of them like, will they use the boom boom room for boom booming or not? And so like she started picking up on that, and like Jared's like, I didn't think so, and I'm like, dude, you've been on the show for how many years,
right?
But not like, even if they started to pick up on it, what else were they going to do?
I exactly.
Just
what are you
think
gonna do? Right.
that the editing, it's like, I don't know. And I feel bad for them because I feel like it makes people not like them.
Exactly.
And it's just like, it just seems out of place, but I'm not, it's like no shade on them.
No, exactly.
I love them, but I'd rather them get their own show.
Yeah,
exactly. Maybe that's what this was supposed to be. Maybe that was supposed to be like
it's kind of like a starter flat, right?
It's just out of place. I don't know.
No, exactly.
I mean, we'll keep getting back to their stuff. Yeah,
no, exactly. It was nice to see them there again. It was cool how they were like spending time with each other, but then also kind of like congregating with everybody else.
Yeah.
And talking and everything. But again, they weren't like making themselves like, we're gonna be here the whole episode. Like, so I think so it was nice to see them, because that's what Jared had said is the reason that they went there was so they could kind of reconnect, which was nice. It'd be great to see them have their own show. I completely agree with that. Maybe this was kind of like a precursor to that, maybe. But I thought that story, again, story time was really funny.
That was funny. That was funny.
That was really funny. And that's pretty much all I have for them. It was nice to see them, but again, I definitely feel like some of the editing was a little I'll
give some more recaps on them later then, because you probably didn't take any more notes. But
exactly.
Okay, so then back to the beach and the other people. So Genevieve gets back from the date. It's Justin's birthday. Somebody had put a meme like, is that a prerequisite for Paradise that it's their birthday? But I do remember he's a Gemini. Because I remembered listening about how like him and Greg and Andrew talked about their birthday. So I know this all. Anyway, whatever. They made it public. Okay, I'm fine. So anyway, so I don't know, this whole Genevieve Justin thing. I'm glad it just like kind of stopped then.
Yeah, me too.
So she said that she hasn't felt wanted by him, and it was just so painful. Then they kissed. And then she went to go talk to Aaron, and then apparently what she said to Aaron was that Justin said that I'm not going to not get a kiss on my birthday. And Aaron was like, that's manipulative. And I'm over here like, it kind of is. And I love Justin and all, but like, I don't know.
Well, I feel like I heard a clip of him also saying like I thought he was like, it's my birthday, can I get a kiss? Or he was like, are you gonna kiss me on my birthday? I felt like I heard him say that before they cut to like ITM or something like that. I feel like I heard him say that.
I just felt like he shouldn't have said that. But like,
no, I agree.
I don't know what their relationship was those other days, and it clearly was stronger. But I think then they go back and they talk again. I think was this the next day? Maybe I don't think I wrote this. Oh, next day. So Ashley and Jared started with the recap, and then Genevieve and Justin went to talk again. Like honestly, at this point, I was like, dude, you gotta let it go.
Yeah,
you gotta just let it go. And like he said later to Andrew at another point, like, I think I've seen what I've needed to see. And I was like, yes, that's it. Just move on. Because I think like anyway, I felt like some of the things that she said were rude.
Yeah.
And I think like she's kind of owned up to that, like after the fact. So like, whatever. But I think the point is, it's just like, if I don't think they have the same love language. He's like, you're not making me feel wanted. So like, he's kind of just like, why do you need to like be like, it's this and this? I'm like, they're not right for each other. Move on. So like, whatever. I think she's better with Aaron anyway, honestly.
Oh, I totally agree 100%. I thought the whole thing with the like, where Justin was like, 3 kisses is that whole thing, and then she was like, oh my god, like she got so upset. I thought the whole thing was like crazy to me. It's like, oh, we're counting kisses now. Like I just thought that was so weird.
I think it's just like, I feel like the point was like, Justin's feeling like he's doing this, and then she's just acting like it's not enough, and so then it's like he feels like it's that she's being like that, and I don't think she's saying that, but like she doesn't realize that it can come off that. I don't know. They cannot communicate well. They need to just stop.
Exactly. They just need to stop. Like I said, move on. I know exactly. And then Aaron, when he walked over and they talked, he obviously didn't like the kiss. And again, I thought I had talked about that. I think they have a good connection. And like you said, I think they're better anyway, Aaron and Genevieve, than Justin anyway. And I said, I wonder what Justin felt about that, because again, when they went to go talk, and then Justin was like over on the side, and then Justin had said that their connection with her was finished, which I think is for the best, like we talked about anyway. Because their expectations were kind of all over the place and like in opposite ends pretty much. So yeah, I agree with that, and I'm interested to see what Genevieve and Aaron go like from here.
So now what did I have next? Okay, so Shanae goes to talk to Logan, and it's weird, like I get both of their points. So I think the main thing is that Logan was just talking about like, so I think Shanae's whole thing was like, she went on the date with James and she came back and she felt like Logan had no interest in trying to like talk to her to get an idea of how the date went. So like, I think Logan's whole point was like, I'm not gonna go and ask you because it's not my business. But like Shanae's also kind of like, but I would rather you ask because you need to
Yeah.
demonstrate you're invested in me. So like I get his point and I get her point. And I
Mhm.
think the point is that it's like you could, and fortunately I don't think they're really playing Shanae's character off that she's being petty about it. But I
Mhm.
think it's like it could seem that she's being petty of like, well, you need to give me attention, that you show that you're like fighting for me and whatever. And I don't think she's doing that. I think it's
No.
just I think sometimes the guys do get kind of like blasé on the beach of like, oh well, you know, there's other girls here, and like if she's interested in the other guy, like it's fine, and like and whatever. And I think the point is that the girls kind of feel like it's just like, you know, I want to be with somebody that's like demonstrating they want to be with me.
Mhm.
And so I think that Shanae has her answer right there. And
No,
like,
exactly.
it's no
Totally.
shade on Logan, but it's like if he isn't that strongly fighting, it is what it is.
I agree.
But I think he's also trying to be respectful. So like I
Yeah.
get that. But
Yeah, I agree.
it's like, okay, again, not on the same page. And then you, are forming the partnership no one knew that we thought we'd ever have of Shanae and Genevieve.
No, exactly. Oh my gosh. Especially during the date.
I'm not opposed to it, but
No, exactly. I'm not opposed to it either, especially like when they were on the double date and they were like kind of like playing with each other, and then they were like all like laughing and stuff like that. I'm like, man,
Yeah.
that's the side I never thought I'd see, especially like where they were like all yelling at each other, especially on the 2-on-1.
Yeah.
It was just like, wow, like it's definitely Genevieve's been pleasant, not Genevieve, Shanae's been a pleasant surprise this season. I thought going into the season I was gonna absolutely hate her the whole time. And like, is she my favorite? No, but like at least I think she's decent, and like I never thought that would be a possibility. So
yeah. I mean,
we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see. But I know there's more stuff with her too, I think, coming up. But okay, so then at that point, Ashley and Jared get the date card, which this is where it's like, oh my gosh, okay, whatever. And then Casey, they put Casey as old and bitter. Oh,
I said Casey and
hilarious.
Terry was so good. It was gold. It was so good.
Somebody was like, he should just narrate the whole show, like just whatever. And him and Michael are the two oldest ones. So I mean, Ashley and Jared, they go on the jet skis, they have the whole conversation about peeing in the ocean, and then people are putting the meme about how if they went on the date with or the one that Brandon and Serene went on, they would have peed in that thing. And I was like, I don't know. I have so many opinions. I love Ashley, but I do not agree with her on that whole thing. And I would, if I meet her one day, I will have a conversation with her about this. Like, how are you? Okay, I don't need to get into that on this podcast. I don't need to get into that on this podcast. I will talk to her about that if I ever meet her. I need to like make a note.
No, exactly. But it was like, I'm not sure it was really that necessary for them to talk about it. I was like, okay.
But anyway, like, yeah. And like, that's the thing. I love them.
Me too.
She is like they are like two of my favorite people from the whole thing. But anyway, okay, back to the beach.
Yes.
Casey's commentary is hysterical.
Great.
Brandon and Serene finally get the date card.
Yes.
Get the date card.
Finally.
And then they showed the clip of like Michael getting concerned that Sierra's like very invested, and then Brandon and Serene get ready to go on the date, and all the guys were like hyping up Brandon before the date, like his outfit and whatever, and then they're like waiting for her to come out with her outfit, and everybody's like watching, and I was like, if they don't end up together, I will cry. And I've said that about other people before, but like this one, I will actually genuinely cry.
Me too. I thought it was interesting on the date. They went to this like pool that had a table in the water, so that was interesting. That was pretty creative.
Yeah. I don't think they peed in the water. So.
I don't think so either. I would hope not. But exactly. But I just wrote here, I was like, oh my gosh, they're so cute. They really are. They're so sweet to each other. And they both say they're falling in love with each other, which is like, that's big and that's awesome to see. And that made me really happy. Mm-hmm. But again, who didn't see this coming? Like from the first episode, it was pretty. We were just waiting for this for them to go on the one-on-one. Yeah, we all knew this was going to happen at some point, just based on their connection. It was just too good not to happen. Yeah. And I'm assuming you have the same note, because my next thing is about Sierra and Michael, because that's probably like the biggest thing of the. So I'm going to take. Like I can say my notes, and you can.
Go with that, because you might have more details on the story.
Okay, awesome. So Sierra, again, like you're talking about, Michael had gone over to Sierra, like the scene before Brandon and Serene, and he had talked about how he obviously, with the whole thing with him losing his wife and then being a single parent and stuff like that, he was saying this, and he said this last week too, that just falling in love again and being kind of vulnerable and really taking that next step with somebody.
Yeah.
He'll get there and he'll fall really hard, but then when it becomes really like, oh wow, this has become really serious at this point, he kind of like backs off because he said he kind of gets a little scared, which I totally understand.
Yeah.
And so they talked about that, but I thought that I wrote before this scene, the first scene where they talked, I thought, like I said, the connection's really, really great. And I just thought they were kind of just going to work through it, even though they had some hardships on it. And like I had said before, last week, Sierra is so mature and she just has like really, really good, like just like understandingness about her. And she's just so kind, so sweet. And she's really like, when he was talking about that, even the first time, she wasn't like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that you're like, she wasn't like angry about it. She was like, oh my gosh, I completely understand. And whatever you need for me to help you through this, I'm here for you. And I'm just always going to be here for you. And we'll talk through all these things together and stuff like that. And I think that just really shows her maturity. I think the thing that really kind of, I don't want to say scared Michael off, but I think made it kind of seem kind of real to him was where they started getting in the conversation about her being a stepmom to his kid. And I think I could see why
for him.
I think that could be a little bit much for him this early, especially since it's his kid and the kid doesn't have his mom anymore. And that's just like it's like kind of like, oh, okay, we're gonna like let's start talking about this next step. That's a really big step. I could see what would be kind of scary for him. I'd probably be in the exact same situation. I mean, I'd probably feel the exact same way. And if I was in a situation, I can't even imagine what he's feeling, like I had said last week. And like I had said, now going back to the last scene of the episode, they go Sierra wanted to go take Michael stargazing, which I thought was really sweet. And I think
she got a star.
She did. She got him a certified constellation for himself, his wife, and his son. And I'm like, wow, it's really sweet and really dedicated, and it's just so awesome. And he had said that again. He was like, you're one of the sweetest and kindest people I've ever met. And of course, I could feel that there was a butt coming. Obviously,
what did we say the one day in the dance studio? They said there's always a butt, it just matters how big.
Yeah. yes
We were talking about
exactly, but we've kind of been conditioned on watching this franchise that we know there's going to be, but I feel something else. Like they might say like, I really appreciate this, but something. And I knew that was coming. And he had said that he just felt like him being guarded and just kind of just taking his time was the best for him. And because of that, he wanted to just be friends with her. And again, she just took it so well and wasn't like, I can't believe you treated me this way and you never loved me and stuff like that. She was so kind and so sincere and just really was like, I really care about him and I'd love to be with him. But like, this is what you do with somebody that you care about. You let them do what they need to do. And I thought that was just so mature. But because of that, she had said that she didn't feel like Michael was the only person that she wanted to pursue. And since he didn't want to be with her, she left. And I thought that was sad, but I definitely can see her point about not wanting to kind of waste her time. But that's where the episode ended. But it definitely was sad. But I can see what Michael was talking about, especially again with the kind of whole step parent thing and everything like that.
I mean, honestly though, like I think he felt the pressure romantically, and I can understand. And when she left, like it was her decision to leave. With all due respect, I think he should leave too, because I just feel like, and maybe he just underestimated how much he would connect with the people on the show. But it's like, this is not just casual dating. Like, it's really not, especially as the weeks go on, it's only going to get more and more aggressive. And it's like, and I love Michael and all, but I don't know. A lot of people were kind of hating on him because it's like, why is she leaving and he's not leaving?
Exactly. I feel
like he should be the one leaving, not her.
Exactly.
I mean, it was her decision to leave, but
I totally see that. You know what? Actually, you bring up a good point.
Yeah.
I really would think, and we don't know how the season's going to turn out at the end if he's with somebody, but if he isn't, I feel like it would be in the best interest of him. And again, I'm not really in any position to say, oh, this is the best thing for him to do. Just kind of knowing, but just knowing his story, I feel like it would be good for him to like just date in the outside world and take his time with one person and not have that distraction, because then he could kind of like introduce his kids when introduce his son to that
Yeah.
person when he's ready, and there won't be any pressure to be like, oh my gosh, we're gonna like get engaged in like 5 or 6 weeks at this point.
Yeah.
So it's just like
Yeah.
I feel like that would be good for him, because I feel
Yeah.
like this overwhelmingness of going too fast, like on the show, this usually happens. It would be kind of prevented, because if he took time with somebody in the real world and outside of the show, he could probably get what he wants, I would think, and what he's looking for in somebody. He won't feel like that internal pressure of like, oh my gosh, I have to do this so quickly when I really am not ready.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I don't know. This just doesn't seem like the right situation for him now. But yeah, so that was mostly the main ending of the episode. The last few things I noticed, they had the clip of Jared prepping the rose petals on the bed, which was so dramatic. And then they had the Ashley still peas on the beach. And the end clip about Genevieve talking to Shanae thought that she looked like she had a diaper when they were after the final rose. And then they kind of were like, we rewrote our love story. And then
I don't know
if they're going to show any more of their like actual conversation, but I think they probably wanted to at least show that clip just to kind of be like, okay, we can summarize everything to discuss in this line.
Right.
I mean, honestly, I would have wanted to see more of what they talked about, but anyway.
So on the part 2.
On to Tuesday's episode. So, okay, so
it picks up.
Sally finally arrives.
Exactly. Finally.
Okay, this is a big thing. So she goes, I had to take care of some things with work. She didn't get on 3 flights and her occupation was listed as not the suitcase. So Sally talks to Justin briefly, because like there was a whole thing about how they supposedly met at, was it Stagecoach? Was it Stagecoach?
Yeah, Stagecoach.
It was Stagecoach. It's always Stagecoach. There was a whole thing on Twitter where then like Kira was like saying, or Justin was saying something about that, and then Kira's like, no, you were there, and Sally was there, and she literally pinned the tweet on her Twitter. So something's gonna go down later on. But anyway, like, so Genevieve and Shanae do not like Sally because of this whole situation. And like, all right, so I think the biggest issue with this, and there was a lot of criticism of everybody felt like she was being bullied in the whole thing, and I'm like, okay, wait a second, let's just back up. And everybody was like, of course the producers were irritated, they paid for 3 flights she didn't get on. But at that point they should just not let her on the show. Okay. They're gonna talk about how Shanae and Genevieve bullied her, but like the producers totally like set her up for this. They did the whole thing, and I'm sure they exaggerated the story a little bit, and I think everybody knows they exaggerated the story a little bit. Right. But the point was, they talked about her ex, and she talked about her ex a bit, and then she talked about work, and then the whole point is that she's getting irritated, and James brought up the point of like, you're on a dating show, your dating history is going to get brought up. So like, she's mad that the girl brought up the ex. Like, what did the producers say and do? So like, you're putting that on them. I said to my mom, I was like, listen, I don't like that they like attacked her like right from the second she got on the beach. I thought that was kind of stupid, and just for that reason, but like, not for nothing, if that's a story I heard from Wells, dramatic or not, and then she's coming in and saying work, I would just be like, that's sketchy. Like, she's being sketchy. Like, she wasn't even really on the show the last time. They like, and then that's the thing, they're like, oh, the cameras are all around, and it's like, you're on a TV show. I just don't know. They really just brought her back to try to like mess with the whole situation, and it's like, I don't know. I don't want to say she deserves it, because like, I don't think anybody deserves it, but it's just like, it was just a mess. And then I think then they were saying about how like Justin was just trying to talk to her because he wants the rose, and I think he genuinely cared, but like, of course he was trying to do it for the rose. And then yeah, but like, honestly, I think the producers did her dirtier than they did, because even the Bachelor ad was like, want to date Sally's suitcase. I'm like, come on. No, it's like, come on, people. I know, like, especially when like the second she showed up, and I know it's probably like a lot of heavily editing, or heavy editing / kind of producer influence and stuff like that. But like, when she walked on the beach, the Genevieve and Janae walked up to her and were like, we gotta talk to you. And of course they had all like the dramatic music behind it. I'm like, okay, like, I know you guys are kind of milking this for like the dramatic effect, whatever, fine. And I'm like, that could be like, it's unnecessary. But again, I definitely agree, because at first when we talked about it, last week, I didn't think the story was true. Or at least that
like
some of it.
I mean, not all of it was true, at least. Exactly.
Yeah.
But then she pretty much said word for word that it was true on the on like when they were talking to her about it.
Yeah.
And then she got really angry. Like she was like, I'm done with this and everything like that. And then
Yeah.
and
It's
then
like
she
misplaced anger too.
yeah, just exactly misplaced anger. And that was pretty much it. And then Romeo talks to her. He kind of randomly shows up again. And I don't know what he's trying to get out of it, but I was like, okay.
A rose.
And it rose, exactly. Besides that. And then she wants to leave, and then she does leave. So, and everybody talked about, it's like according to her, or according to people there, she spent less than an hour on the beach, which I don't know if that's a record at this point, but I have no idea. Whole thing was pretty like unnecessary at this point in my opinion. Especially since they were building up this whole thing with the suitcase, and it was like, oh my gosh. And then she shows up, she's in about 5 minutes of the episode, and then she's like, I'm out. And then it's like, well, Clayton's season, he gave her a rose, she declined it, left. Here, she got angry when they brought up stuff about her, then she left. I don't think the producers are going to invite her on the show anymore.
No, they just I mean, I'm surprised she even came, because I just can't imagine that she thought they were going to show her in a good light after what happened, and that's exactly what happened. And I'm not going to try to like victim blame her and say she's naive or something, but it's just like, I don't know. I don't know. It's just very, it's very sketchy. The whole thing's very sketchy for me. And I don't want to sound like I'm just totally like making a criticism of her character, but like there's just something off.
Yes,
and I think that's where like Genevieve and Shanae were like, we're not afraid to go after it. And it's like, I mean, they could have been a lot meaner, but I probably would have been kind of inquisitive too, like not to be a bully, but I would have been like, oh, well, this is what we heard, you know?
Exactly.
Or I would have just been like, whatever, it's not my deal.
No, exactly. I totally agree. That's pretty much it on her whole situation. There's not much to talk about besides that. Going back to like the beginning, this is an important kind of fact to bring up, that this doesn't have any kind of like effect on the episode, but there's 7 girls and 12 guys, so 5 guys are going to go home at the rose ceremony when that happens next week. But yeah, that's
self-eliminating.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, right. But yeah, whole Sally situation, not much to talk about after that. I think it was pretty unnecessary.
Anyway, so okay, so it's like the guys just don't know where their roses are going to be coming from. All right,
the next one I have is Peter.
Oh yeah, well, they keep saying they want girls to show up, and then in walks Pizza Peter, and then
Pizza Peter.
Casey, I couldn't be more excited to not be excited. And then Jill was like, said to Jacob, make it look like we're a real couple. So he calls Victoria F and says, I think he said that she smells delicious. She's very good with humoring people, because she's like, oh, pizza, whatever. And Shanae's also good with humoring people. He called himself Mr. Hospitality, and he was talking to Britt. I was completely shocked. They're both Aquarius. I'm Aquarius, so hopefully that doesn't say anything about me. But I was like, at first I'm like, okay, maybe there's some hope here. Maybe. Then what else? Okay. Then Peter was like angry about the pineapple on the pizza. Listen, I don't have it all the time, but every once in a while it's just something different. Okay. I'm not gonna hate on the pineapple on the pizza, because, and I think the first time I used to like regularly have it, I think was like in college. I used to occasionally go to the math club because my friend was in it, and I was like, oh, and they always got like a Hawaiian pizza, and I think that's when I started having it and like acquiring a taste for it. But like preferably I don't get pineapple on pizza, but I will occasionally. Do you have a preference on this? I feel like I need to know now.
No, exactly. You know what's interesting? I actually haven't had it that much, and so like I'm not sure I can like actually form my opinion on it. But the thing is that when I have had it, I haven't hated it. So that's why I'm like, it's not my preferred option, like you said, but I won't, like, if it's there or if it's like once in a while, I'm fine with it. Because I know there's people that are flat out will never have it. And so,
it doesn't bad. I don't know.
No, I know. And then he got mad. And he was like, he's like, this is a disgrace. Take this away from me. And that was really funny.
Oh my gosh.
And then just again, like Casey narrating this whole situation, it was so funny. And he was talking about how it's like, oh, he brings up his pizza empire like 74 times in a day or something like that. It was like,
And Michael was like, is this whole conversation cheesy?
Cheesy, I know.
I mean, like, Britt was so excited to go on the date at first, and I was like, she's thrilled with him. I'd be ripping my hair out. But then she soon realizes, yeah, like she realizes now that he's only talking about himself on the date and he's bragging, and she's just like, his compliments towards her are just so awkward. And I said I would jump overboard.
Yeah.
She is the queen of the swerve.
She is.
And what were you saying next?
No, exactly. No, I completely agree. I thought it was so funny, and this was just a really cool editing trick that I noticed, is that they were in the water when they were swimming, and they had, like, I guess they were using a GoPro because obviously they can't have the real cameras, like, that. And so you couldn't hear anything because they weren't mic'd, obviously. And it was just kind of muffled, and you could hear the water going back and forth, but they had the subtitles going across the screen, and then they just put an ITM in the middle of that, and then she was like, now I see what people are saying or talking about, and it was just so funny how she was just like, yeah, okay, I understand.
I just like, oh no, go finish. You were saying
no, exactly. No, I that's pretty much it. But they went on the yacht, which was nice. I know that's what she had said. It was a nice yacht, and I remember she was saying that I don't want to not be grateful for it because it was probably the nicest yacht she had ever been on, or boat she had ever been on. I don't know if she had been on a yacht before, but she had said that, and then she said she feels what Casey was feeling about him, because again, just the whole just talking about himself and kind of being like selfish, and then not really asking questions about her and stuff like that. And then just like you said, a queen of the swerve. She put it off so well too. She was just like, oh, I'm sorry.
No,
like, I just don't do that right now. So that was, oh my gosh, but that was so weird, man. Oh my gosh.
I just think so. And then I'll just finish up like their whole date thing. So like Britt was recounting the date to the girls, and then like Lace's and Ashley's faces were like mortified, and then Peter was telling the guys, and so it was just so crazy. Like, so he's just feeling like he doesn't think that she's there for the right reasons, and I think everybody's like, are you kidding me? Out of everybody on that beach, she is but okay, it was just so painful, and I genuinely, because everybody's like, he's projecting, because then everybody's looking at his post and they're looking at his hashtags and the influencer, blah 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 blah. And okay, my psychoanalysis of him, all right, because I sometimes feel like I should have gone into therapy. Anyway, I'm personally just concerned for him, because like, okay, I think he said something about how like he's very proud of what he's established with the pizza.
Fine, yeah.
Like, great. I mean, that's amazing. And I think he said he was from Long Island, and then he went down to Florida to do this?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. And then I was checking, because one of the places in Boca Raton, and I was like, did I go past this place? I couldn't tell. It looked like it was too out of the way when I went to Florida. Anyway, but like, I personally feel like maybe he just feels like when he started to do this, he felt like he had something to prove to, like, I don't know, his parents, his friends, people that doubted him, who knows, okay? So I think he has this thing that he's just very proud of what he's done, and I feel like there are a lot of people out there that use people for like what they've accomplished and what they have, and not who they are and whatever. And I genuinely feel like he might be like trying to be so like protective about this that he does not realize how he comes off.
Yes.
Because that's why he's thinking she's doing that, and he's like freaked out that she's doing that. I'm like, dude, she's not doing that. Like, you're just like, I think he's just so, I don't know. Like, I'm concerned like how he actually genuinely feels about himself, not like himself as a person, not about what he's done. And I just hope he watches this back and sees what's going on, and it helps him reassess. Like, genuinely, I really do.
Yeah, I do too. Exactly. I completely agree.
Because I'm just like, I'm like, oh man, like I kind of feel bad.
And then I know this isn't as like, no, I completely agree about what you were saying. And I don't think he's doing it like on purpose or like out of any kind of like meanness or anything like that. I just think
tone deaf.
Again, he just doesn't know.
No, can't read the room.
No, exactly. He cannot. Especially with that kiss. Oh my gosh, that was painful. But I was like, OMG, we're starting the rumors about Brittany again, especially like with the whole Clayton season or Matt James season again, especially if it wasn't like, well, I know it's not, they're always going to bring it up. It's like, it's not like, it's not, there's really, you can't compare it, but she, especially on those two, on both seasons, she has been one of the probably most like genuine people on the show. So just the fact
Yeah.
that like, people kind of see the need to like, I guess, make rumors about people is, especially someone like her, is not, it just is
Yeah.
not great. That's the reason I bring it up. I saw a lot of people being like, "Oh, she's probably like the
Yeah.
last person you should be like saying things that aren't true about." But it's like,
Yeah.
okay.
Well, I don't know if you were.
No, that's pretty much it. But
I was going to say, fortunately, at least Andrew has picked himself up after everything with Teddy, and then he was talking to Wells, and Wells gave some hilarious advice about pulling Britt to kiss her. And Andrew pulled Britt to talk, and then they kissed, and I was like, wait, was this the same day as the date? Fun fact, Andrew is also an Aquarius.
Yes.
So
they seem
yes.
like she completely forgot about the date
Yes.
at that point. She's like,
And
well,
he's a Taurus rising and a Virgo moon. Okay. They said this on a podcast once. Okay. Well, I'm in my astrology mode. 2 of his big 3 signs, because I'm Virgo rising. I'm a Libra moon, but whatever. Anyway. So fun facts. Yeah, so I ship them. So new
Me
couple
too.
is formed. Anyway.
I think they'll do very well. I like them a lot.
Okay, so where was I? All right. Okay, so then there was the clip of Jacob exercising on the beach and everyone was watching.
Oh yeah, that was funny.
So weird. Then he gets a date card, and then he took Jill, and
excited.
They go on a date during the full moon. We're really doing all the astrology stuff here.
Yes.
Anyway, so there was a shaman guiding them through the date, and it was a tantric breathing meditation. And this goes back to the thing with the last time with the sound healing. The editing really is just making them look psychotic.
Mm-hmm.
But like these things are like actual things that people do, but it's just so awkward because it's being filmed and it's just like so out of context, and like people don't whatever. I don't know. I don't do tantric breathing meditations, but there's like things like breath work, and like you do breathing exercises, and it can, like, if you're out of context, it looks weird. Okay.
Right.
But then they're howling at the moon, and it was just like, then they go to the part when they're naked, and then like, I don't know, it was fine. Like I would not feel comfortable doing that, but like I feel good about their relationship.
No. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's gonna go the long haul, but I feel good about them now.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not saying I don't think they definitely won't go the long haul, but but anyway, sorry.
No, exactly. No, I completely agree. I just felt it was so exactly like you said. It was actually kind of different with the whole Gabby and Eric date. We talked about when we were recapping that episode. It really kind of made it feel like what it actually is when you're doing that kind of thing. But most of the time, like 95% of the time on this show, they make it seem like the person's insane, and it's like so mean. And then like, they put like that crazy music behind it, and then like they do like all these weird things, and it's like, why? It's like, why do we have to do that? But again, I think that I just thought it was really funny. I know I just said this, but I found it fun. Jill was so excited when she went on when he called her. She like ran over and like said it was like, I'm going on the date. So, like, that was funny. But yeah, I think they have a good connection now. The thing with Jacob is I don't know if the thing is with him is that I don't know. It just based on what I can read from him, I don't know if he's in that phase right now where he just kind of wants to have fun and just kind of hang around and stuff, or he really wants to commit. I can't say what he wants to later. Either one, exactly. But I think obviously, I feel like Jill would want to commit more than he would, and that's just kind of what I see. So I don't know, but I think, like you said, for right now, I don't know about the long haul, but right now I do like them together.
Yeah. And then Brandon and Serene, he brings everybody together to celebrate her birthday again with another birthday. They all come together and they all start singing. My mother was immediately like, God, they can't even sing on key. I was like, I'm putting that in the podcast, Mom. Thank you.
Yes.
Not that I could, so I can't. And then Michael is reflecting on how he's alone, and then he does a deadpan look toward the camera, and he was like next to Genevieve and Aaron were like making out, and he's just like, I feel alone, and then it's like looks right in the camera. I don't know if you noticed that part.
No, I did. That was hilarious. The perfect comedic timing.
Logan then tried to win Shanae over. He buried the wine bottle with the bracelet in it and underwater, and I was like, dude, what? I thought it was just wine, like wine.
Right.
I was like, we're gonna go dig that. Whatever. I guess his first job was like, I don't know. Anyway, they reconnected. I was just like, it is what it is. I think she's gonna pick James. So
Me too.
that's enough. Then they had Ashley and Jared's date. What? Oh, that was that when they had the date? No.
No, they had the day first episode.
Why did I write this here? You know what? I was going back and forth watching the 2 episodes. Oops. Okay. Whatever. Anyway. Okay.
Next I have is the whole Jill Kira situation.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
Kira came back.
Yeah.
And she said she had unfinished business.
Oh, yeah.
I could see why she felt blindsided, but I think this was a bit much. And I really
Me
just
too.
like I could see why she felt blindsided 100%. And then Jill storms off to go to bed, and Brittany comes over to see Jacob and is like, WTF.
Mhm.
Like, okay. I think Jacob then was like honest with her and was like, I don't see the I don't like the fact, what did I say? I don't like the fact that he described Kira's actions as hot. He's not great with his words sometimes. But like I'm glad it worked out in the end with like him just moving on to go talk to Jill instead. And I think it's just like, I mean, yeah, everybody's like, Brittany is the wing woman.
No, exactly. She totally is.
But I mean, he had to like talk to her, but I don't know. You don't know how long that conversation was actually going on, but it's also just like, why are you letting it? Like, I think Jacob doesn't know how to totally handle these situations.
No.
Had he gone uninterrupted, I really don't think he would have pursued it, but I think it was just like him not knowing how to be like, no.
Exactly.
So I'm glad it kind of worked itself
No,
out.
exactly. I totally agree. I feel like that conversation was pretty, like, it was like needed. I think it was needed, especially when he had told Kira that it seems he had said to Jill that the whole Kira thing was kind of forced and he wanted to pursue her. So I think that was important. And then they had the whole thing, and then Kira was like, oh, okay, that's fine. And it was like everything kind of dissipated at that point. It was like, okay, cool. And then of course, who comes walking in? Nothing but Romeo. And it's just, I just found it funny. It's just classic. I thought it was so funny that like she was just like walking, and then like all of a sudden he was like, oh hey, and he just happened to be there. It's like, the producers, again, we've talked about this, he's like, oh, go talk to her, she's over there. And it's like, we're gonna get this shot. And then I can go through my notes and you can give your thoughts. But Romeo had said that he wishes that he gave his rose to her and instead, and I could understand that. And then Kira asks if he will leave paradise with her and kind of go date in the real world. And I said, my gosh, this is one of the most awkward, longest pauses I've ever seen. Because like he waited there and he was just like, for like,
I think they said it was I think it was 43 seconds.
40 seconds, yeah, 47 seconds. And yeah, you see, it was even longer than I thought. It was just like, and there was not even no expression. He was just like, there was not any expression. He was just blank face. And then he was like, sure. Like he didn't even seem that
and then everything on Twitter was everybody's just like, Romeo, blink twice if you're in trouble. And this whole thing, okay, not for nothing, I think he made the right decision by leaving, because like, who is going to give him a rose?
Right.
You might as well cut your losses.
Might as well.
I don't really know how much they romantically are inclined to like move on, but I think in some ways, I think Kira came to save him.
Exactly. I totally agree. I thought it was so funny that there was this, where they did like the 2-shot of them right before they went in the car. And she was like, well, this ended up working out for the best. We ended up looking for, like for other people, then we came back to each other and we're going to date and stuff like that. And in the middle of her talking, they like slowly zoomed in on Romeo's face. And he was just like, please, I don't want to do this. It was so funny to me.
Probably like, he was thinking it through all in his head. He was like calculating.
He was calculating it, exactly. I thought it was funny that they like made the choice to like zoom in on his face while she was talking. But yeah, I don't know again how much they'll last, but it probably is the best interest of both of them that they left. And I thought it was funny when like I think Jill, when Jill was talking to Jacob, or after that whole thing happened, and she was like, thanks again, Dr. Kira. It was like, I like when she said that, or something like that. It was like sarcastic, but I just thought that was funny. That's all the notes I had. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, I think the only few things I had well, okay, I think just about Kira. So like on Twitter, she tweeted, she was like, glad that Harvard produces the most unproblematic people in Bachelor history. And it was like her, Romeo, and Bennett.
Yeah.
Like, oh my gosh. Then she also, I saw she posted a TikTok and she like, everybody is always like concerned, well, what will your job say? Whatever. She's like, nobody cares. Nobody cares. They're just like, great, do your thing, and nobody cares. And I'm like, you know what? Listen, I could criticize her on anything, whatever. It's just not how I would have acted. But like, good for her for saying that, because like
Right.
everybody's so quick to judge. Like, not for nothing, I feel like there would be less criticism if it was a male doctor.
Oh yeah.
100%.
I
And
agree.
I'm just like, good for her. Good
Yeah,
for her. And like,
agree.
you know what? Whatever. I mean, it's just the show. It's just how they edit it. I mean, like,
Yeah.
it is what it is. But the previews, I was like, oh my gosh.
Crazy.
And then the end clip was Well speaking as the suitcase.
Yes, that was funny.
Which I guess they filmed before Sally actually came.
Exactly.
Because he was just like, I guess she has a southern accent.
Exactly. We can count on Welsh for that always.
Yeah.
The best comedic shows, exactly, and timing. The previews, like you said, look insane. Of course, we're gonna have the rose ceremony, and it seems like there's some couples that are gonna like rekindle stuff, or maybe there's like love triangles that maybe we didn't notice that were
Love
happening.
squares.
Love squares. Exactly.
Geometry Beach.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. Exactly. It's gonna be crazy, but it's been fun to watch so far.
Yeah. Okay. I think we got through everything.
We did. Oh my gosh. If you're watching still, thank you very much.
Yeah, we are finishing recording this at 12:47 a.m. Okay, well, anyway, all right. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. Please remember to like this video, subscribe to us on YouTube, hit the post notification bell, and if you enjoyed it, share with a friend. Also follow us on Instagram at Ballrooms and Bachelors, and at our personal Instagram accounts, which are linked in our Instagram bio and appear on our end screen of the episode. Just keep in mind, remember, there are 2 episodes of Dancing with the Stars next week and 2 episodes of Bachelor in Paradise next week. They are all occurring at the same exact time.
Yes.
We have 8 hours of television to watch. So just, they also release the Bachelor in Paradise schedule between now and Thanksgiving. So we were trying to stick with our time of posting on Fridays, but just right now, every week's a little different. So we'll just try to make sure we're posting on Instagram when we're posting the episodes, because it might be a little difficult, like getting it right up on Friday between now and Thanksgiving week. And especially as we get closer to our dance competition, we might like, fluctuate some things. So just stay tuned on Instagram for all the details. And that's all I really had. So awesome. See you guys next week.
See you guys next week. Have a good one. Bye.